Panthers make sense, but 47-10?
I just don't know that I believe that the Saints are as good. Scoring on 16 of 21 drives. They have punted thrice.
Yeah.
3 times they have punted to start this season.
Easy check for that punter.
I believe the Saints are better than we thought. I have a hard time thinking that an offense that was middling last year with a brand new offensive coordinator is suddenly not just the number one offense, and not in terms of yards. Other teams have surpassed them in terms of yards, but I'll say the most efficient offense. To make that leap without some kind of regression, I can't believe it. I can't believe it yet. The Saints, for instance, are going to face some other tests, and it's going to come pretty quickly. I think there's a chance that maybe they drop 40 again in the next 2 weeks. They're going to be facing the Falcons, which are going to be a defense figuring stuff out that needed edge rush help in the draft. That's going to come at the end of September. Before that, they're facing off against the Eagles. Then they've got the Chiefs, a defense we know can be really, really great.
Why are you looking ahead like that?
I'm looking ahead because I don't think this is legit. I don't think it's legit. I think there's going to be some regression. I think there's regression. I'm not buying it.
Tomorrow. We ain't talking about 2 weeks from now. Right now. You know who their OC is, right?
Yeah, Clint Kubiak, who I initially called a Nepo baby.
Where he come from?
Straight from Gary.
49ers. 49ers.
From Gary.
And look, if you look at the offenses that we've admired over the years, the Rams are struggling right now, okay, but you got Sean McVay. He comes for that Shanahan tree. Then you go over to the 49ers. Of course, he comes from that Shanahan tree. You got this young man doing the same. You got Mike McDaniels with the Miami Dolphins. He comes from the young Shanahan tree. There's a correlation here. There's something that these guys are doing when it comes to getting their offensive weapons open that you have to believe right now. I'm with you, though. The NFL, it won't lie to you. The better teams always rise to the top, and the weak ones fall. You don't sneak into the playoffs in the NFL. So, but right now, come on now. I got to drink some of the Kool-Aid. I'm having at least half a glass.
Do we have a gavel for a ruling here, our final ruling? Bump, you can have the final ruling here. I will step aside. Final ruling, you're saying for real? 2-0. They are also leading in several offensive categories, or tied for first in several offensive categories. I mentioned Derek Carr with 5 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield has 5 touchdowns through 2 weeks.
All right, so you go up against a rookie quarterback that first week against the Commanders. Jane Daniels having a decent season, though, 75% completion rate. He's probably playing the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks at this point of the season. What scares me about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Baker Mayfield himself. I know he had the best season of his career last year. But this one, I'm not. You put up 20 against the Detroit Lions. It was a close game. Baker Mayfield was 20 of 19 for 185, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he led the team in rush yards with 5 carries, 34 yards. He had to do it all. This is the team. It's crazy. I'm believing in the Saints more than I'm believing in the Buccaneers right now. Yeah, I
can't even come up with other than the Buccaneers having last year obviously won the division, and last year been a much more solid team than the Saints. The Saints with a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator. It's fair to wonder if what they needed was, look, the Seahawks have largely the same personnel defensively, and I think we've seen some genuine improvements in 2 weeks defensively. If I'm going to say that coaching can lead to that kind of jump, then maybe I have to acquiesce that the same can be said for the Saints offense.
I'm 4-7 in the red zone. When you think of the Detroit Lions, and I told you before the game that they will be 1-for-7 in the red zone against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're going to say, yeah, right. The Bucs were 1-for-2. Something wasn't right with the Lions that day. They had 2 turnovers. So you're 1-for-7 in the red zone. You have 2 turnovers, and you win the time of possession. You're not supposed to win that game. The 1-for-7 you're not supposed to win. The 33 minutes of possession you're supposed to win. It's such a weird game when you look at the stats, but I think the moxie of Baker Mayfield is what kind of won that game for them.
Let's be quick with this one. I'm going to throw in the Seahawks because they are a 2-0 team. I know what you and I might say, but why don't, Bump, you tell me what you would say if you were a national guy looking at this team. So there's no loyalty. And I know you're an analyst, so putting on the analyst cap, Seahawks 2-0 start. Legit?
For the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Yes, it's legit. I think you took advantage of a rookie. Check down Central, rallied to the football that first game. I think your offense carried the torch against the New England Patriots. The hard part is that we don't think the Broncos are going to be good, and we're confused about the New England Patriots. No one thought that they were going to beat the Bengals. I didn't think they'd be able to run the football the way that they're doing it, even though Stevenson is healthy. He's ready to go. Jacoby Brissett is going to have to win some games. I don't see him winning games. So I think the 2-0 every record is legit in the NFL, right? 2-0, 1-2, whatever the heck you want to call it. Every record is legit, but it's all about trying to project what you think your team is going to do. I think as of right now, I'm looking at that 2-0 start. Yeah, it's legit. And 3-0 is going to be legit. But you're always going to be able to look at something and say, well, Tua didn't play that game. Mm-hmm. Well, you played a rookie here. You can say that about every team that's 0-2 or whatever the heck. You're going to be able to pick out some stuff. But I think it is legit. But I also think that if they continue to let guys run all over them, it's going to be hard for them.
Next team, this was the quickest answer I had in the list that you sent earlier. The Steelers off to a 2-0 start. Are they legit? I said no with the quickness. I'll tell you why. Because they are winning because of their offense, because of TJ Watt, because of what they've been able to do in terms of bringing pressure. They are not winning because of what they're doing offensively. They are averaging the third fewest offensive yards per game, better than only the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers.
You know what? A couple years ago, but they're doing enough to win these games, right? The defense is what's really winning it for him. But Justin Fields he hasn't turned the football over yet. I think that's his main thing. Don't turn the football over. 10, 15 years anyway. Just having a solid defense. It's all about how Justin Fields grows. So you got the Chargers and the Colts coming up. The Chargers are undefeated. We'll see what they look like. And then you have the Colts who are struggling with Anthony Richardson, who has the lowest completion rate in the league. Surprise, surprise. He only completed 50-something% in college. So there's some things to work out. And someone says, I'm hating on Baker like the nation did Geno. I'm not hating on Baker. I just gave him love. I said, it's moxie, the Baker Mayfields. The Buccaneers only got there twice. Something wasn't right. But good for Baker.
Last 2-0 team. So we've got the Saints, the Bucks, the Steelers, the Seahawks, all 2-0. Last one, the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold losing rookie J.J. McCarthy before the season even started are 2-0 after beating the San Francisco 49ers.
Look, I tried to tell you about Sam Darnold.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
No, you did, but you did not take Sam Darnold to beat the 49ers.
Hey, I didn't take him to beat the 49ers, but I said, look.
You have been telling us about Sam Darnold.
And play well.
Give
this man some weapons.
I will say that.
He's been in horrible situations. The Minnesota Vikings, all right, they play Houston. You got the Seahawks, obviously the Lions and Green Bay twice. You got the Jets and the Falcons. They say the easier games are the Titans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Rams at this point. They should win at least 6 to 7 games. And I think that's all you can ask for right now with Sam Darnold being your quarterback. Maybe he steps it up to another level. But now you have Justin Jefferson, who's banged up. Jordan Addison's been banged up. I think he's doubtful as of now. There are some things they got to overcome. I'm not quite believing in the Minnesota Vikings. Even though they did beat the 49ers, they're going to have a lot go right. And Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. Everybody else that I see, Derek Carr, the reason why I believe in him, he was the MVP candidate one year. He has shown, or these guys have shown, that they can kind of carry a team so far. You're going to need offense, you're going to need defense, you're going to need turnovers and all that good stuff. But your quarterback has to have the ability to win some ball games, and that's why I look at the Seahawks and say, I think they're legit as well, because Geno has shown every year that for 4 or 5 games, he can say, all right, hop on my back, I got you. I can win this game for you, but I'm going to need some help.
Not every team is off to a great start. Some really good teams, from which we have drafted many a fantasy football star, are off to an 0-2 start. Looking at 2 in particular to figure out what we're making of this, I'm going to start with the Baltimore Ravens, who last year, frankly, should have won the AFC Championship game. They kind of took themselves out of it by taking Lamar out of it, basically stopping the run. They led in DVOA, I believe, offensively and defensively last year, certainly a top 3 team there. They are a phenomenally talented team. Yes, they did lose their defensive coordinator. They're off to an 0-2 start.
Yeah, they are. And that first game against Kansas City, there was some stuff going on, especially with that offensive line. They called a couple illegal formations on these guys. You flip over to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have the same alignment with that offensive line, but they're not calling that. My brother-in-law sent me a stat. He said there's something like 40 to 50 interceptions that have been called back for Pat Mahomes throughout his career because of some type of penalty. To get out of these situations when you combine the luck and the skill that he has. The game against the Raiders is different. He was 21 of 34, 247, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Only carried the ball 5 times for 45 yards. And everything that I'm hearing in that game is that the Baltimore Ravens were just predictable. They know when you're going to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. You know when Lamar Jackson's going to drop back and try to throw the football. So they have to make some adjustments. The 0-2 is real, but I do believe that they can climb out of this. Now, if you go 0 for 3, the chances of you making the playoffs shrink dramatically. You got the Cowboys coming up. Both teams are looking for a bounce back. I think that's a game people should pay attention to.
Now, the reason the Saints are interesting is when you look at statistically what they've done through 2 weeks, they're blowing their opponents out of the water. The reason it's easy to look at the Steelers and say, oh, I'm kind of questioning it, is because the opposite is true. They are not getting a ton of yardage per game. They're, like Bump said, kind of leaning into the run and then playing really solid defense, but they are doing just enough to get by. I'm kind of applying that same logic to the Ravens. When I look at the actual statistics from the game, when I look at what they were able to do, basic stats, right? Total first downs, third down efficiency, total net yards, how effective they were with the run, how effective they were in the red zone. They're a team that lost each of their weeks by 1 score and could have won. Like, that touchdown sticks into Isaiah Likely. Maybe they go for 2 and they win that game. They make 1 extra conversion against the Raiders. Maybe they win this game. Time of possession was roughly split between these 2 teams. If the Ravens would have made one of their extra field goal attempt, they were 3 of 4 as opposed to 4 for 4. Well, then it's a tie game and they go into overtime. The Ravens are doing good things per game, like 1 or 2. You know what I mean? They got a couple mistakes per game, and the games have been close enough for them to hurt themselves.
The difference between Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes, one of the many, right, is that Pat Mahomes can have a horrible game. He's going to make the throws at the end of the game. Lamar Jackson has yet to make the throws at the end of the game when you need it the most.
Roughly split time of possession. Like, they should have won this game. It's just not to take away from what the Raiders did, but both teams were bad on third down. Like, it's not like the Raiders put up astronomical numbers. All right, last one here. The Bengals. 0-2 to start.
They always start 0-2. Under Zach Taylor,
tradition.
They started 0-2 like the last 3 or 4 years or something like that. I'm not too concerned. They could have easily won that game against the Chiefs. Jamar Chase is getting back into the groove. T. Higgins missed a game. I'm not too concerned. Now, they need to get this next one. If they don't get this next one against the Commanders, they got the Commanders and the Panthers next. They have to be 2-2 going into the game against the Baltimore Ravens. This is what they do. We got to look at history at some point. Zach Taylor's team and Joe Burrow, they're used to this. I'm all right with them.
The Seattle Seahawks are coming back home, and we want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch the Seahawks take on the Dolphins in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, simply text the word app, APP, to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. Enter daily to increase your chance to win. The contest runs through today, Tuesday, September 17th. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, Jedd Fisch asked on Monday about the 4th down call that ultimately doomed the Huskies in the Apple Cup. Here's what he had to say.
You know, we had a chance. We didn't execute the play. Told the team last year it was 4th and 1 with 1:15 left on the -29. And the 11-0 Washington team against the 5-6 Washington State team, and they converted a reverse. A year later, it's 4th and 1 with 1:12 with a 24-19 game, and we don't convert on an option play. That happens. If the reverse doesn't convert, Washington State wins last year 24-21. So in our case, the option play didn't convert, and we didn't execute the play. And if we executed the play, it would have converted.
If they executed, they would have converted. What's the real headline?
And if the Huskies scored more points, they would have won. Right, Jed? Applying the same logic. If we executed the play, it would have worked. Of course it would have, Jed. Of course it would have.
Yeah, I mean, that's what football is, all about execution. And all about the coaches putting the players in the right position to execute. I mean, I'm sure Will Rogers is looking at that defense. The right side of that offensive line is looking at the alignment of the Cougs defense. And they know the chances of this play going down are just low. And then you have guys with the wrong assignment errors, man. So it's the whole team, though, man. I mean, the thing I respect about Jed is that he went with the play. That was a play that they said they would call in that situation, and they did it. I think you tip your cap to Coach Manning, the defensive coordinator with Wazoo. He played some mind games over there. It came down to one play 2 years in a row. I mean, that's the way rivalries are supposed to be, man. It was exciting. Last year, it was exciting, and it hurt. For me, this year was exciting, and obviously I was happy about it.
I don't know why. It's like kind of a pet peeve of mine to, and I've made the argument before. It's something I'm guilty of, but doing the like, if this would have happened, then this. It's a lot of ifs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a way to take any kind of responsibility from yourself, and I don't think that's what Jedd Fisch is consciously doing. I think what
No.
he's trying to make it clear is that he believes in his team and they really liked the play call and that's how football works. Like, I think that's what Jedd is trying to communicate.
Yeah.
But what it ends up unintentionally communicating is the idea of kind of taking accountability away. Like, well, if I would have been play calling for last year's Huskies team and the Cougs messed this up, well, you weren't. Ryan Grubb was, and
Yeah.
they did an amazing job.
And what
you
is
weren't
he?
him.
What is he supposed to say? Like, what is he supposed to say? Yeah, when he's made a horrible call, he still has a full season ahead of him. If anything, he's doing damage control at this point. He's got to make sure his boys are still ready to go. You start your Big Ten season. You guys are debuting there. I think UW has a solid team. I don't think they'll win the conference, but he still has so
He's
much to do.
saying what he needs to say.
Yeah, he's just getting through the situation.
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm being salty as a Husky, where it's by no means am I sitting here going like, wow, Jedd, what are you doing? It's just a thing of, it is still frustrating, even though he has no choice, to hear the most obvious thing.
Yeah.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the Eagles choked it away last night against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. What's the real headline?
I bet they had a peaceful, easy feeling after that win. Curtis helped me out by clarifying that's a 1972 hit song from the Eagles.
We were back here combing through the Eagles' discography.
That was an exciting game. You got Saquon Barkley, who won at first. They thought he scores a touchdown. They bring that back to the 1-yard line. They eventually get in. Jalen Hurts scores. Then you think that they got the game on lock. You got Saquon Barkley rolling to the flat. He drops the football. They got to put it on the foot. And then the Atlanta Falcons have to go a long ways to score, and they put absolutely no pressure on Kirk Cousins. He sat back there for days tapping the football. Mooney made some plays. Drake London ends up scoring the final touchdown. I was happy for Kirk Cousins because he's just a nice guy, and I love to see nice guys win. But Nick Sirianni, man, that seat was hot entering the season. It's getting warm again.
I think what I also like about this game is it illustrates how many people have their hands in on mistakes. Saquon Barkley afterward for dropping that pass, he took blame afterwards, and he was, basically saying it's my fault. And the defense shouldn't have been in that position. Well, sure. But then the defense was in that position, gave up a touchdown, and then Jalen Hurts took over and threw an interception. Everyone's at fault, and Saquon could have stopped the bleeding right then, but this is where I caution any player against shouldering the blame for any kind of loss when so many people are responsible.
Yeah, it's a team sport. There's a bunch of events that happened that led to that. They got the Saints next week, so we'll see who's for real.
Ooh.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Mariners got some big help from Cleveland last night. They only trailed Minnesota by 2 in the wild card race. What's the real headline?
More like the Cleveland Guardian Angels, am I right?
That's right. If no one's got me, I know Cleveland's got me. Amen.
I know that's right.
Take care of the Yankees. Just take care of the Yankees. It's going to be tough. You're going to be on ESPN, baby. Everybody's going to be watching. Take care of the Yankees. And then you get through that position. Can you finish the deal?
Let's go ahead and talk about it. No more room for error with the Mariners over the final 12 games of the season. That's next.
This is Seattle Sports.
I've never been around a quarterback who had as big of a chip on his shoulder than Juno.
Set has time. Now he's going to get hit. He's going to go down. Well, Leonard Williams just drove his man back, just what the doctor ordered.
This is a great example of this game. Hey, when the offense needs to pick the defense up, they did it. When defense could help the offense by getting a critical stop, we got the stop.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about the true cost of a DUI. The humiliation, heartache, and fear are only the beginning. A DUI is a gross misdemeanor with serious consequences, like jail time, fines, and license suspensions. There's some bitter surprises, too. DUI hinders employment, other legal matters, and even custody outcomes. Don't even get me started on insurance premiums or being turned away at the border. You need the true value of our top-rated lawyers. We're fighting for you. So call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com. The real cost of a DUI conviction is like a cell phone bill. There's a lot tacked on. Fortunately, your investment in 1-800-DUI-AWAY can pay for itself many times over.
1-800-DUI-AWAY! Do you wrestle with your CPAP machine every night? Tired of lugging it through the airport and on vacation? Hi, I'm Dr. Nick Kugler with the Washington Center for Sleep. We specialize in treating sleep apnea with CPAP alternatives. My patients have ditched the CPAP and get restful, healthy sleep every night. If you're tired of wearing a mask to bed, let us help you. Visit us in Seattle, Bellevue, or at wasleep.com. That's wasleep.com. Sleep better, feel better. That's the Washington Center for Sleep way.
Key here is employee satisfaction. There is no expectation for customer satisfaction if the people that work with us don't feel taken care of and supported and loved. I'm proud of the Lee Johnson Auto family. I'm proud of our stores. And I need everybody to share in that mindset because it makes a better experience for the customer. It also makes it a better place to work. Walking away from an interaction with a customer that says, I can't believe how easy this was. I can't thank you enough for helping me. Receiving a handwritten letter that's personalized to a salesperson or service advisor or a technician expressing gratitude, and then taking that home and sharing that with your family and hanging that on your refrigerator, that's the difference.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe. Seahawks Insider, brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba became the first pair of Seahawks to have 10-plus catches and 100-plus receiving yards in a single game Sunday. One of the big plays for DK was a 56-yard touchdown on a broken coverage from the Patriots in the first quarter. Geno Smith explained postgame how that happened.
Yeah, that was a great call, man. They went cover zero early in the game. That was the big touchdown to DK, and it kind of scared them out of it. They didn't call it for the rest of the game, but we knew they'd get back to it. That's what they want to do in those critical situations, and Grubb was on it, made the right call. We executed the play, and we're just happy that happened. Allowed us to get in field goal range, and then J-Mod kicked it in, does what he does at all times.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
If you're looking for fun, breathtaking views and outdoor dining, Snoqualmie Casino's the place for you. It's Mike Salk here for Snoqualmie Casino. No matter if it's a meeting like I've done, a night out with friends, a big date night with my wife, I know Snoqualmie Casino has it all. Plus, they open their outdoor dining, so come enjoy dinner overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. 12 Moons and Vista Prime Steaks and Seafood offer outdoor dining, so grab a seat and dig in. You can browse the menus at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino. Please game responsibly.
At Mazda of Everett, you can always expect to receive exceptional customer service and exceptional deals. Mazda of Everett is a great friend of Seattle sports, and you'll be satisfied with both. Shop from over 600 new Mazdas in stock. And right now, they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? It feels like working with family when you work with Mazda of Everett. You will drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
It's football season, and that means colder weather is on the way. If it's time to update your windows and doors, talk to Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Local owner Keith Dashafee has a great deal just for you.
That's right, Steve. Now you can get 20% off qualifying installations or 0% financing for 24 months with equal payments. Just schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors at PellaPNW.com.
Thanks, Keith. Check out the unbeatable selection of windows and doors today at PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Let's talk Mariners. They are sitting pretty in the wild card standings right now, and I know that we all had our eyes on the AL West and hoping they could get that, but right now with a change, some big help from Cleveland last night, as we mentioned in headline rewrites. We've got our eyes on that race. Let's take a listen to some of what John Morosi had to tell Wyman and Bob, and also what Jeff Passan had to tell Brock and Salk this morning. I'll start with John Morosi talking about the situation for the Mariners.
There was a game the Tigers lost to the Twins in April. I went and looked this up. They committed 2 errors. They had a lead with 6 outs to go. They gave it up, lost an extra inning. If they had won that game, they'd be 1 game back in the loss column, and they would own the tiebreaker over the Twins. So it actually would be almost tied nearly. And now it's quite the opposite. It's still 3 games plus the tiebreaker. So it's a longer shot, but that goes to show you. And everybody that's out there say, oh, sometimes we overreact to stuff in April. No, we should overreact to stuff in April, because that game right there might keep the Tigers out of the playoffs. So remember this, put a pin in it. We now, therefore, have permission in Seattle and Detroit to overreact to any game in March or April next year.
Do you know how often I will be playing that clip in April next year? Do you know how often? It's not going to be after every single loss, but it will be when we start seeing red flags pop up early, and we saw that this year. Now, John Morosi adds the Mariners will probably have to go 10-2 over their final 12 to have a realistic shot at making the postseason. We are going to talk about the road to the playoffs, but I also want to talk about what we've learned now that's become very apparent. And for John Morosi, and Bump, I saw you nodding along, stop writing off games in the spring and early summer as it just being early.
As he's talking, I'm thinking about you and how you have the strongest takes out of the two of us when it comes to the Mariners, right? And I remember you in April telling yourself, I'm not gonna overreact. You know, this is young, it's early, the season is young, this is April. And specifically saying, I hope this doesn't bite us in the rear end late in the season. It's so hard to lose games in April and not have hope and think that your team is going to figure some things out and win some games. The Astros were doing it, right? Their beginning of the season was horrible. Now look at them, they're winning ball games. So yes, the logic makes sense, but it's also like, for my sanity, I cannot overreact in March and April, May. I have to believe that eventually this team is going to get things going. And I'm looking at what went down in March. They came out actually pretty good, right? You split a series against Boston, then Cleveland lets you know what's up, and then Milwaukee lets you know what's up, and then Toronto lets you know what's up, and then Chicago lets you know what's up. It's that span right there. You get 2 or 3 games in that span right there, you're in a completely different situation now. It's just so hard to predict what's going to happen with a team like the Mariners. If you have a team like the Astros who have bats for days, like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, you can look at these early games and say, don't trip, we're going to figure it out. With the Mariners, you got to say, I hope they figure it out, and if I overreact to this, the whole summer is going to be stressful for me.
Yeah, it's like you can't watch baseball for 3 months and pretend you didn't, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people do it in a way to sound like they know more about baseball. Like, I see it as kind of a pretentious thing. Sometimes people do it to tell you to pump the brakes. Like, if you were someone who 3 series into the season were like, this is what this team is, you can start getting a taste for what their issues are. You can point to, the Astros and say, look at them, they're going to make the playoffs after starting out horribly. Sure, but this is one of the worst Astros teams they've had in a few years. Like what they learned in the first half of the season is they've got some serious issues with their starters, and that their offense can do enough, but that they may be doomed by their starting pitching, and maybe that ends up costing them in the playoffs. Who knows? You realize over the first 3 months what kind of team you're working with. The question then is how you can improve and what kind of luck can bounce your way. But, like, you can't watch 3 months and be like, all right, well, baseball starts now at the All-Star break. Let's see what we got in store here. I don't want to hear it.
No, that's why they play so many games, so you weed out the weak. I think if there's any sport that does the best at that, it's baseball. I mean, it's easier on your body. That's also why they play so many games, right? But teams don't just magically get into the playoffs. You got to have great stretches of play. If you start off slow, you got to have an August like Julio had last August. The slower you start, the more special stretches have to be for your ball club, and we've yet to see that special stretch.
All right, so what's the path forward look like for the Mariners? They are still alive in playoff contention. Here's Jeff Passan.
I think probably the Twins, frankly, because I think the Twins and also ahead the Mariners now are the Tigers. But I think the Astros are just a better team than both of them. And I don't know. Neither's particularly realistic at this point.
Okay, so winning the West and or a wild card are not particularly realistic. You are still alive. You are not mathematically eliminated. You're still looking at a path forward. It's kind of like, it's one reason that Bump and I have our eye on the playoffs and are watching these games and are also talking about how you improve for next season.
Yeah, it's crazy that you're 2 games out. You don't have the tiebreaker with the Twins, and realistically, it's not going to go down. So what do you have to do? You got to look at, all right, what do the Twins have coming up, and why isn't this realistic? You look who they have to play. They still got to play the Guardians. I mean, Boston isn't having a great season. Miami, we know them, and then they end with Baltimore. I wouldn't say realistically. I wouldn't say just it isn't likely that it goes down. But 2 games behind, obviously you have the tiebreaker. It still gives me some type of hope. So I haven't given up yet. I mean, like a month ago, I said I don't think they're going to make it. But they've narrowed the gap more than I thought they would at this point.
In terms of what we've learned from this season, it's a conversation we're going to have a ton in the offseason, so I don't want to jump the gun and have it too early. That being said, responding to a listener, Patrick in Tacoma says, what I've learned is Julio's not a superstar. Wildly inconsistent for the last 2 years. He can't lead this team to the playoffs without choking at some point from Patrick. I think it's fair to be very a superstar, or did this team not make the playoffs because they counted on Julio being a superstar? I think it's the latter. Like, yeah, Julio needs to perform. Player execution is ultimately a huge component of what went wrong for the Mariners this year. But let's be real. It starts by not looking at your lineup and going, yeah, that'll do it. This 23-year-old who's, like, had some really amazing months, that's good enough.
You need a Bash brother and then some cousins as well.
You know?
I don't think Julio really had a Bash brother this year. We thought he got some cousins, though. I mean, Robles is a first cousin. His game has been solid. Randy Rosarena, he should be the Bash brother, but he's had some inconsistencies. And then you add Julio not being the guy that we thought he was, or he's been the last 2 years. It's a recipe for disaster. I'm not willing to say that Julio's not a superstar. I think that he has earned a down year. But I said this before, 30, 40 games into next season, if he doesn't look like the guy that he needs to be for this team to win, we can have a different conversation.
Yeah, and again, if Julio plays like an MVP, this team is probably leading the West. I don't think it's fair to count on Julio being an MVP year in and year out. That is throwing a huge amount of luck.
He ain't Barry.
Exactly.
He ain't Ohtani.
That's the thing. Like,
if you expect him to be Barry or Ohtani, then you're going to be extremely disappointed.
And it's not his fault. He's not that, because who has that player?
Yeah.
The Dodgers have Ohtani, one of the best players in baseball. You cannot think that's enough. You can't.
Nah. He's got a ball, though. Rookie of the Year.
For real.
MVP votes.
It's on him. He needs facts.
It's in him.
Facts. He needs to be better. And so, again, we're going to jump into that conversation. I leapfrogged a little bit. We're still talking about the Seahawks odds here. You can listen to that John Morosi interview yesterday. It's on the Wyman and Bob podcast. Jeff Passan was from this morning with Brock and Salk. They both talk about the Seahawks, the Mariners' road to the playoffs. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. He might be one of our favorite Seahawks, but one former player has a take we have to question. Hot takedown coming up next.
This is Seattle Sports.
DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks.
I've never been around a quarterback who had as big of a chip on his shoulder than Gino.
Set has time. Now he's going to get hit. He's going to go down. Well, Leonard Williams just drove his man back, just what the doctor ordered.
This is a great example of this game. Hey, when the offense needs to pick the defense up, they did it. When defense could help the offense by getting a critical stop, we got the stop.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. So glad, so thankful that Molly and I made the call. Had heard so many First Mark Challenge victories, we needed to take that challenge. What does happen from your perspective when that caller, when that email, when that person reaches out to you for a First Mark Challenge victory?
That's a great question. So there's several steps we go through in the process. The first step is we're going to gather information, find out all we can about that client and what their needs are. The next step is we will go out to the market. We have dozens and dozens of carriers that will compete for the business. At the end of that process, we will then bring those findings back to the customer, show them what we found, and who the eventual winner was in that competition.
And it may be who they're with.
It might be, yes. And sometimes that's the best we can do is recommend they stay where they are, but maybe modify a few coverages to put them in a better position.
So go take that challenge today. Go be the next First Mark Challenge victory. It costs you nothing, and they will be there with you every step of the way. FirstMarkInsurance.com. FirstMarkInsurance.com.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
It's the last days of summer and everyone's trying to squeeze in just a little bit more. It's Mike Salk here, and making the most of your summer could mean a road trip, camping, a round of golf with some old friends, or that big home project, right? If a roof was on your checklist this year, now's the time to make it happen. The days are slowly getting shorter, the temperatures are starting to decrease, and the window is closing on getting that quick roof replacement. Worry not. You can still get it done with Riverside Roofing. Here's what you do. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. You'll be prompted with a quick quote. Enter your information, and they'll give you a quote in less than 60 seconds. Do it right now. Putting it off any longer won't make it go away. It only makes it more difficult. So trust Riverside Roofing with your roof replacement. I did, and you should as well. They're also certified Tesla roof installers, so they can go that direction, and they'll use the catch-all system to protect your lawn. They're Master GAF Elite certified. You can find them online at riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Hey, college students, want to save more on groceries? Every dollar counts, so my friends at Safeway are helping by giving all university, community, and technical college students an extra 5% savings every day. It's called Safeway for You. Sign up is free and easy. Safeway for You members get extra savings with perks, points, and free products. For all the details and terms, visit Safeway.com/FOR and the letter U. That's Safeway.com/4U.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industries no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At Shane Company, we'll help you create a ring as unique as your love story. We have the biggest selection of diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and center stones in an array of colors, including sapphires in blue, pink, green, lavender, and more. Just the other day, a couple picked out a blue sapphire that perfectly matched her eyes, and they left knowing her ring was truly one of a kind. That's what happens at Shane Company. Come check us out. You might just fall in love with something unexpected. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Thought we'd introduce a new segment here, have some fun with it. Hot Take Down. So the idea is simple. You can probably guess from the name. We all love hot takes in sports. I've had them. I've been incredibly wrong about them before, but they're fun to have. And
what?
So,
You said you were wrong?
I know. No, actually, to my memory, I've never been wrong about anything. I actually take that back, but I have had a hot take or two in my day. Luke Wilson, former Seahawk, and someone who is a fan favorite, had a great tenure here in Seattle, never heard a bad word, said something that I thought was a hot take. I thought it was a little spicy, and so I thought we'd introduce it because I got to be honest, I don't think we're going to agree with Luke Wilson on this one. I really
Probably
don't.
not. Probably
Okay,
not.
so this was Luke on with TSN, which is kind of like my understanding of Sports Center in Canada.
Oh, yeah, TSN.
I've gone,
Yeah.
and it's strange because they're 2-0, but I've gone from hope to worried to I'm hitting the panic button. I've been in Seattle for a bit. I look at what happened today. The Patriots rushed for 185 yards. I mean, look at this. I'm used to the Legion of Boom days where we were coming downhill and making every tackle. And offensively, we heard all about this all offseason about Ryan Grubb, our new OC. And today, it did hurt not having Kenneth Walker, but we couldn't run the ball to save our lives. Yeah. And if it wasn't for Geno Smith, I play with Geno, and I think the guy is incredible, and I think he's playing extremely well. JSN I never played with, but everybody there says he's incredibly talented, a big game today.
He did.
Obviously, DK, a guy that they do not use, which I don't know why, is Noah Fant. But we mentioned Tyler Lockett, always Mr. Clutch for them. And I sit here and I say, how is this team not scoring 35, 40 points a game? And instead, we barely beat Denver, and we arguably could have lost to New England today.
A loss was very much on the table.
And I get it's disappointing because it just doesn't feel like, the Seahawks of old, I should say.
Look, I'll never catch an NFL touchdown in my life, and nor am I qualified to do that. But Luke Wilson, you have entered the hot take arena, my friend. And you are here now with the big dogs. And so we got to do hiving up. Used to the Legion of Boom days, not loving that they can't establish the run, and having a hard time accepting this offense is not scoring 35 to 40 per game against two objectively struggling teams. Bump, what say you?
Oh, man. Love Luke. See him at golf tournaments all the time. Fan favorite. He's in great shape, by the way, too. Still is good. 35, I'm going to start there. 35 to 40 points per game. The best offense then, 31 points per game. 2021 as well, the Bucks 30 points per game. Packers in 2020 31 points per game. Ravens in 2019 33 points per game. So I'm just going to go out there and say he feels like they should have just won by more. I don't think he really knew that that's really not how things go down in the NFL. If you're scoring 25 to 26 points per game, you're feeling good about your offense. You got things going. And then it's when you start bringing in the Legion of Boom, I'm used to this, used to that. I go, that can't be your take because that was so long ago. Cam Ward was a 12 flag raiser a couple weeks ago at the preseason home game. He's tired of hearing about Legion of Boom. He's talking about the guys now. Michael Bennett has said it. Cliff Averill has said it. You can't compare anything to one of the greatest defenses of all time. Now, where he might have valid concerns, I think, is when he looked at the rushing yards and say, well, man, the Patriots rushed for 185 yards. What's up with this defense? Legit. They might just be a team that's going to lean on the run consistently, put out a $130, a $125, $140, and have these games where they are explosive because of their quarterback situation. You don't have a quarterback who's going to win the game for you and toss for 350 yards. Jacoby Brissett only has like 3 games his whole career with over 300 yards. That's just not what he does. So I think that Luke is getting into the game. And it's important that he does have hot takes and takes that he believes in because you're going to get a reaction just like you're getting one here. But there is reason for concern in some areas. But I think if you've watched this team a bit closely and you see some of the changes that are being made, you might be a bit more optimistic than what Luke is.
Yeah, I would not be hitting the panic button, nor do I think that anything Luke said would make me want to hit the panic button. I think that, Luke Wilson is speaking from experience that, won to a Super Bowl playing with one of the best defenses we've ever seen. I'm going to start with the Legion of Boom angle. Look, the average defense is, this sounds really stupid, average. Hi, redundancy, welcome. But we are never going to see and may never see a Legion of Boom-esque defense ever again. The reason that we can point to the 85 Bears, the reason that you can point to the 2000 Ravens, the reason you can point to that span of, specifically 2013, but 14, 15 Seattle Seahawks, is because that is a rare quality to have. That caliber of player, a scheme that works with them, dominance, complete dominance in the NFL, particularly as rules have evolved to favor offenses, you may never see that again. Or you may see a defense that is incredibly strong up front with a great defensive line that can stop the run. No one was talking about Tampa Bay in 2020 when they were stout against the run, being like, oh man, the big boys up front, because that's a little more boring than the Legion of Boom. We've seen versions of great defenses that have helped their teams win Super Bowls. It's really hard to compare it to the very best. Imagine if your partner had, prior to marrying you or dating you or being with you, been with a billionaire. And he or she would constantly be like, oh, God, I'm used to getting cars for my birthday. You'd be like, what do you mean? It doesn't even have to be me. Go date 20 other people. You're not getting a car from them for your birthday either. We may see really, really good defenses here, and they will never be the Legion of Boom. Stop looking for the Legion of Boom. It certainly was good enough for Kansas City last year.
No, we're going hard on Luke.
We are. No. This is less about Luke. He doesn't know what
he doesn't know. It's taking his comment and putting context to it. You cannot expect anything like that again. If you do, you struck oil, you found gold, and you are the luckiest fan base in all the land because typically throughout your lifetime, you're fandom with one team. Into this, and the more film he watches and the more stats he brings up, the more he's comfortable, but the more reasonable he will be with some of his takes because 35 to 40, I came into the season, I will never expect the Seahawks to average 35 or 40. Will you have a game or two where you put up 35 or 40? Yeah, possibly, but to average that, no,
Luke is speaking from experience as opposed to when I see people. No, it won't be.
He's speaking from experience, but that still doesn't mean he's right, though.
No,
you can't expect that.
Well, no, and again, what I'm concerned about is your guard play.
Yeah.
I'm not, and that Patriots defense limited the Cincinnati Bengals to a single rushing touchdown.
I'm concerned about Ken Walker's health.
I'm concerned about Ken Walker's health. Exactly.
Jerome Baker, how's your hamstring?
Yeah, I'm not hitting the panic button, but the things I'm concerned about aren't that this defense doesn't look elite, nor that they didn't drop 40 points on the Broncos and Patriots. Heads up, one team in the NFL has dropped 40 points in consecutive weeks.
Yeah, and big ups, Luke, man. Keep do your thing. TSN, that's a big deal in Canada.
Yeah. So anyways, hot takedown. I feel like, unfortunately, Luke was collateral damage in my rant about people wanting the Legion of Boom back.
This is part of being in this game. I've gone on Pac-12 Network and said some dumb stuff before. People lit me up for weeks. That's just, you put yourself out there. Be vulnerable. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. It was a bold take from Luke. I respect it. I may or may not have started to get into a rant about people who call for the return of Legion of Boom when I'm just telling them to give up on that.
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. All right. We are going to speak with ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst coming up at 11:30. We've got some new updates maybe on NBA expansion. Before we get to that, 4 Down Territory coming your way next.
The Mike McDonald Show, the first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We had a great plan going in, and we were able to adjust as the game went on. Gino played a tremendous, watching the tape again, I thought he played a tremendous game. DK had a great game. Jackson had a great game. I mean, you can just kind of go down the list. Offensive line protected well for the most part. I mean, there's some things we got to have to look at, but felt like we were the aggressor throughout the course of the game. And then just to finish it off the way that we did offensively.
Don't miss the Mike McDonald Show the morning after the Hawks game at 9:30 on Seattle Sports.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. Hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors. Is something bugging you? If you're dealing with a pest problem, get the relief you need and the long-term protection you deserve with Issaquah Pest Control. Look, rodents and bugs can ruin your insulation or the structure of your home or business. Before it becomes a more costly issue, call Issaquah Pest Control, the fast, kind, and professional pest control service. And if you're in the pest control business or have an interest, they're hiring, so join the team. Issaquah Pest Control, serving the entire Puget Sound. IssaquahPest.com.
If your home's heating system is 10 years or older, it needs a tune-up. Your furnace and heat pump work extremely hard, and after 10 years, wear and tear can cause a failure. The last thing you want this winter. Deere Services is now offering a heating system tune-up with a no-breakdown guarantee and no service fees for just $49. A thorough inspection and recalibration for just $49. Visit DEARservices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours. Deere Services, Seattle Seahawks, small business partners.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. I'm a 5th-generation Pacific Northwesterner, graduated from UW and Seattle U School of Law. At Warrior Injury Law, we have years of experience in the trenches, fighting insurance companies for the people of Washington, my people. If you've been injured, you need a lawyer that is tough, confident, and battle-tested. Call us at 253-WARRIOR for your free case review. Warrior Injury Law, battle-tested.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here for Johnson Fitness and Wellness, where I got my home gym. Now the difference? Their expert staff. They ask great questions like, what are your fitness goals? What kind of space are you working with at home, and what's your budget? Johnson Fitness and Wellness experts get you the right machine for your home gym dream setup. And right now, in-store only while supplies last, mention this ad and our listeners get an indoor cycle for free with Select Force USA Home Gyms. Shop stores in Bellevue, Tacoma, Linwood, or visit johnsonfitness.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Would you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back from an off day to take on the Yankees today. Game 1 of this series begins at 6:40 p.m. with a pregame show at 5:30 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. To the NFL, where per ESPN's Brooke Pryor an hour ago, for the 3rd week in a row, the Steelers are preparing to start Justin Fields over Russell Wilson, the latter of whom continues to work through a calf injury.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Floor Coverings International.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. We're going to hear a very interesting pronunciation of Jackson Smith and Jigba coming up in the timeline at 11:15. Right now, though, let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down bump. We're only 2 weeks into the NFL season, but you've been impressed with some quarterbacks you have named the comeback kids. Who are they?
Comeback grown man kids. I'm starting with Derek Carr, man. We talked about this offense over there in New Orleans. They are getting her done. He has 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's completing 76% of his passes. Everyone counted Derek Carr out. Yes, it's 2 weeks. Yes, it might be an overreaction, but we are in the media game, and we must react. So he's on that list. Number 2, go Cougs. Gardner Minshew, baby, let's go, man. You beat Baltimore. He's undrafted. He played for 4 teams in 6 years. A big win in week 2. My next guy, Geno Smith to everybody else. To us, well, most of us, we felt like this is who he is. This is who he could be. So we're not surprised by his performance. But I'm listening to ESPN and everyone else. They're starting to give him love. Welcome to the Geno Club. Next guy, Kyler Murray. All right, we had that contract controversy. You got to watch film, stop playing video games. Then he tears his ACL, poor leadership. That's not what I'm seeing this year. 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You almost beat Buffalo. You blow out the Rams. You get a young man over there. You got Michael Wilson at receiver. You got McBride at tight end. James Conner at running back. Kyler Murray looks great, and he's still running that thing like he never tore his ACL. I'm looking at Kyler, and I'm saying, big ups, man. Welcome to the Comeback Kids Club. Next guy, Baker Mayfield. 2021 to 2024, he played for 4 teams. He showed up on a Wednesday and drove the Rams down the field to win on a Thursday. They still dropped him. In 2022, he played for Carolina and the Rams. In 2023, he has his best season as a pro. In 2024, he has the 2nd highest QB rating in the game. Darnold.
I knew it.
3 teams the last 3 years. He's completing 70% of his passes in 2024. He beat the Niners in week 2. He could be 4 in Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Geno, Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr. Comeback Kids Club. Let's get it. Week 2, though. We'll see how they do.
2nd down. What's something you think the Seahawks should do to get Charbonnet going if he were to get carries this week?
So, I'm trying to figure out how to get this guy moving because he is a good running back. I don't think he's a guy who's gonna rush for 1,500 yards, anything like that. But if you need him, do it. You get under center, you let him get downhill. There's something about running backs. You get them going downhill right now, he's able to feel and move and see what's going on. Or you get him in pistol. That's when he's lined up right behind the quarterback and he's able to get downhill. I watched his film at UCLA, he did work from the shotgun a bit, from the right side and the left side of DTR, but that's just a different level of play. This Pac-12 network, but we got to allow him to get his rhythm. How do you do that? Get him under center, give him a tight end on the split zones and have him go the other way, but he's a downhill type of runner in this league. That's how you get Zach Charbonnet going. Let's see if they do it.
Third down. What are some surprising team stats you saw for the Hawks?
Yeah, these guys are number 2 against the pass right now. That's crazy. Yes, you have gone up against Bo Nix, who's a rookie.
Sure.
Jacoby Brissett, who's not going to throw the ball often, but you're still number 2 when it comes to the pass. Also, they're 6 when it comes to yards allowed per game. You look at that 185 yards per game. Yes, you played the Broncos and the Patriots, but it is what it is. Also, this year so far, they are on defensively, they're only allowing 32% on third downs. Right, in 2023, they were 46%. They're allowing their opponents to convert 46% of the time on third downs. So every week these numbers are going to change, and they might change drastically because we've only had 2 games. But so far, there are some positives. Yes, you need to get better against the run. Yes, I would like more turnovers and more sacks, but you're 2 games in, and I look at this coaching staff, and I'm excited to see the adjustments they make every single year, because last year, or the past 4 or 5 years, we felt like we knew what was going to be done and what wasn't going to be done, because there's some familiarity with this coaching staff, that because Pete Carroll was here and you have some tendencies. With a brand new staff, you really don't know how they're going to attack this, the changes on offense and the changes on defense. How are you going to get Zach Charbonnet going if he's a guy? How are you going to get the run game going? How are you going to coach your offensive line defensively? How are you going to stop the run? There are just so many questions that we don't have the answers to, whereas for 14, 12, 13 years, we felt like we knew what was going to happen already. I'm excited to see it, but those are some numbers that that should give you some type of hope.
Fourth down. If you were the Seahawks, who's a player you would use more, and how would you do it?
Come on, man. I've been saying this name for 2-3 years now.
D. Eskridge.
No, 2 years. D's
Just
gone.
kidding. I know D's gone.
He's gone.
D's gone.
I wonder how he's doing in Miami. He's in
I
Miami,
don't know, but
right?
my immediate reaction once you said I've been saying his name, I was like, D. I know the answer.
It's got to be D.
No,
Eskridge,
it's not
right?
D. Eskridge.
Nah, D.
Okay. Oh, can I take one more guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Kobe Bryant?
No. You get one more.
Okay. You've been Kenny McIntosh.
Kenny McIntosh. Yes. Get this young man out there. There's clearly something going on with his game. I think he might have trouble in pass pro. Because you look at Zach Charbonnet, I think Kenny might be the more elusive player with the ball in his hand, but you got to be able to pass pro, and that's what Zach Charbonnet is great at. He will step up in there like a slot receiver if Kenny McIntosh. Line him up in the slot, have him run some swings, some outs, because he needs the football in his hands, but he also has to gain the trust of his coaching staff, which he doesn't have right now. And the longer you get into the season, the more weapons you're going to want to use. It's nice that you had JSN go for 100, DK go for 100 first week, Lockie goes for 77. Let's sprinkle in Kenny McIntosh, especially if Ken Walker's not going to be available. If he's not good at pass pro, don't put him in those situations. What I know he's good at is having the ball in his hands in space. So if I am the coaching staff, I'm finding a way to get him the ball, even if it's once or twice. You can get him the ball one time, and he only gains 3 or 4 yards, but you can see something. I've seen it plenty of times in the league, in college, in high school. Yeah, he only gained 3 or 4 yards, but there's a twitch and a move. Hand it off, screens, whatever. Make it a clear passing down. It does not matter. It can be predictable with him, but goodness gracious, I wish I knew what was going on with this dude.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. A new head coach has some harsh words for his quarterback. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
No matter how you feel about Gino, you think he's a journeyman, you think he's great, whatever you think.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
You can't look at that game objectively and not say he put the team on his back. He was under constant pressure. He had 5 drops from his receivers, and he still went 33 of 44, 327 yards and a touchdown. He was spectacular.
I wouldn't argue with you. I thought Gino was pretty much the game ball winner.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Let's talk about your hair. Well, maybe after we talk about my hair. I've got great hair, as you know, and it's because of Advanced Hair. Yep, Advanced Hair Restoration. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results that I can attest to. Guys, it's not magic, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it most, and bam, it grows. It's actual science. Advanced Hair has top-rated physicians, modern technology, and best of all, you get your very own natural hair that begins to regrow the very next day. It's even guaranteed to grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 425-449-8185. Mention Curly to qualify for $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. It's a limited time offer. Advanced Hair, the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and the team that gave me my hair back. More importantly, they'll do the same for you. Guaranteed. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Thursday, September 19th, enjoy Unkatawa for an evening of indigenous music, culture, and community on Pier 62 at Waterfront Park. Free for all ages, 6 to 8 p.m. Full list of summer events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
At Shane Company, our engagement rings are the perfect blend of design, function, and beauty. Each one a unique work of art. We meticulously craft our bridal jewelry in our jeweler's workshop to the highest standards, expertly setting each diamond by hand, ensuring the structure is perfectly balanced, and sizing everything for the perfect fit. Shane Company offers a free unmatched lifetime warranty because your engagement ring is an heirloom that was made to last. You'll cherish your ring today, tomorrow, and forever. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino. Seahawks Insider. Brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
Seahawks pass rusher Boye Mafe is second in the NFL in pressures through 2 weeks with 15. He's come up with 2 sacks so far, but has come close to so many more. On the Mike McDonald Show with Brock and Salk yesterday, the head coach explained how Mafe can turn more of those pressures into sacks.
Yeah, I think just getting used to like being in those positions, like you can't get close to the quarterback throughout the offseason, and so you're trying to win rushes and then trying to be also in position to make the play on the quarterback. So converting to some power, maybe making more inside moves. He brought Jacoby down on the one, but he didn't have his right arm down. Jacoby just kind of threw it away. So, there's some good finishes on there, too.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist?
You don't say.
Oh, I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Peter, hot head. Let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
This hour is brought to you by Floor Coverings International.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy, reading you the top stories you're going to see and hear about on your own timeline. I want you to think of the way that you might mispronounce Jackson Smith-Njigba. And let me just say, there's nothing inherently wrong with mispronouncing a name, nor is it something we should always just make fun of someone for.
Njigba.
Okay. Curtis, do you have a guess on how you might mispronounce Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Njugbi.
Okay. Let's take a listen to what Mad Dog Russo did.
The Seahawks blocked a 48-yard field goal with 4 minutes left, which would have put the Pats up 6. That was a big play in this game. Smith played well, and his receivers, Metcalf caught 10, Jackson Smith-Njigba, the kid from Ohio State, he caught 12 more.
I gotta say, I'm impressed. It's honestly even better than I thought.
He saw letters that weren't even there.
Yeah, he said, I'll tell you what I said. It's
he
a
threw
Delta
you in
zine.
there.
He's seen ghosts.
Yeah, he did throw
There's no you
there.
in Jackson Smith Orange.
That letter's not there.
Yeah, he saw ghosts.
But, Mad Dog's an OG in the game, man. He's doing it for a long time. He's got a lot of money in the bank.
I'm fine with it. All right, next up here. Titans head coach Brian Callahan did not mince words when discussing his turnover-prone quarterback, Will Levis.
What did you say to Will on the fumble? I know you looked very upset on the sideline.
I think the camera caught it pretty clear, if I had to guess. So, I was upset. It was dumb. It was the same exact thing he did last week, and he cost us points in the red zone. And that is what it is. He's a grown-up, and he knows better. And so, I was really irritated that he cost us 3 points in a game that we probably needed it.
Levis was 19 of 28 for 192, a touchdown, and a pick in a loss to the Jets.
Here's the thing with that. Yes, he is a grown man. And 2, I think Coach understands that Levis can probably take that type of coaching. Just going off the surface stuff. I'm looking at Bryce Young. I don't think Bryce could take that type of coaching. I think you got to nurture Bryce a little bit more than you do Will Levis. Going off of what I see from Will Levis, he is an intense individual when he competes. Some guys can just take it, and it's up to a coach to coach accordingly. So, and he made the same mistake twice. So I think I'm just going to lean on their relationship and Will Levis's personality and say, if Callahan thinks he can handle that, then go ahead and do that.
Yeah, also, look, there's also context for all of this. Like, they had fumbled in the possession prior, and then they take over after the defense forces a punt, and then they throw an interception with pretty solid field positioning. Like, understandably, Callahan is frustrated and upset. I was a little surprised, though. Like, I was a little surprised by the frustrated tone because, Bump, as you've talked about, it feels like more coaches than not have adapted more of a player. And to hear a head coach, particularly a younger guy like Brian Callahan, come out and be like, yeah, no, he knows it. It's really bad. I'm really frustrated. Is kind of surprising.
I like it, man.
I'm not mad at it.
The intensity, but it is surprising because there's been a shift in the culture when it comes to coaching these guys up.
Well, another coach taking full blame for his team's loss, that being Lions head coach Dan Campbell. They fell to the Buccaneers.
I asked for improvement from last week was the story. And
We did improve. And their coach cost them. Their head coach cost them this one. So, critical error into half, and 100% on me. We improved. There's areas we got to continue to improve on, but it's not okay.
Again, they showed improvement from week 1 to 2. I cost them this game. The Lions' last 2 drives ended with a turnover on downs in this one. I liked this from Dan. I love Dan Campbell, man.
Dang, what you need, dog?
Right?
You need I will play for you. I will work for you. What do you need in your life right now? Because I love this man. I mean, everything he says is genuine. He knows how to adjust. I mean, this is Dan Campbell at his finest in one of his lowest moments of the year so far.
Yeah.
And just like players, coaches have to learn from their mistakes as well. Let's see if he lightens up on the aggressiveness.
Also, I am by no means couching Dan Campbell and Brian Callahan together to make a point about coaching. This is not like intentional on my end. What I do think is interesting is that this was Dan Campbell's answer when Jared Goff threw 2 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, because he understands when it's all said and done, there's 2 people who get the most blame. It's the head coach and it's the quarterback in an organization. And if he can do anything to save the mental and the spirit of his team, especially the quarterback, he understands that he's going to stand up there and he's going to do it. He just knows the dynamics of this whole thing. He's really aware of himself and his team.
All right, let's go to one more head coach here. This was Nick Sirianni, maybe on the hot seat in Philly, who can tell, with an odd explanation for throwing to Saquon Barkley late in the Eagles' loss.
We wanted to. They were running a certain defense and junking it up in the middle. So we're trying to go around the outside, and it didn't work. The decision to pass it there, again, like I said, where they were junking it up inside, with it being 4th and 3 to go for it. I thought, with them not having any timeouts, I wanted them to be down a touchdown and see if they could drive the field, and they did.
Now, what happened prior to this was Saquon Barkley picking up 3. That was on 2nd and 6. So they're at the Atlanta 13-yard line. Atlanta takes their final timeout. Then Philly takes the timeout. Then they decide to throw to Saquon Barkley, who drops it. And Barkley took full responsibility for this after the game.
Barkley was open.
Yeah.
He was open. He had one guy that he had to beat, but not really because he had him out leveraged. He was already working to the outside. All he had to do was catch the football, turn upfield, take a step or 2, and he was going to get that first down. Here's the messed up part about this is that the preseason or the offseason talk about Sirianni just amplified this situation. Yes, it was a crucial loss. Yes, it was at home. Atlanta hadn't won a game in Philly since 2012. There's a lot of things surrounding this, but when it's all said and done, that was the right call. Your player just didn't execute.
All right, well, there's a question we're all wondering, and while we don't talk about it daily, it's maybe a huge one facing the NBA right now as they consider expansion. Are we going to see the Sonics back in Seattle soon? Let's bring on ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst next.
Seattle Sports has your chance to win 4 tickets. The Win tab in the bottom right corner and enter for your chance to win.
In the back of the end zone, DK. Does he have his feet in it now?
You can enter once per day, so the more times you enter the Seattle Sports app, the better your odds will be.
Touchdown! Seahawks!
Do it every day, September 13th through September 17th. Details and rules at seattlesports.com/win.
Holy catfish!
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing, rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at bens.plumbing. That's bens.plumbing.
Do you have a musty, damp, or wet basement? As the soil around your home becomes saturated, pressure pushes water through the tiniest of cracks and joints in your walls and floor. Moisture and water can not only damage your basement with mold and musty odors, it can also impact the health of your family. Matt Vey can install a custom-designed waterproofing system, transforming your basement into dry, healthy, usable space.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Have you recently tried to get a loan to buy a piece of real estate? Are you tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and their endless guidelines? Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Sponsored by Pfizer. If you're looking for fun, breathtaking views and outdoor dining, Snoqualmie Casino's the place for you. It's Mike Salk here for Snoqualmie Casino. No matter if it's a meeting like I've done, a night out with friends, a big date night with my wife, I know Snoqualmie Casino has it all. Plus, they open their outdoor dining, so come enjoy dinner overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. 12 Moons and Vista Prime Steaks and Seafood offer outdoor dining, so grab a seat and dig in. You can browse the menus at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino. Please game responsibly.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore. So he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
This is Brock Hewitt. If you're retired or retiring soon and concerned about the future, call Tila Mortgage today to find out the benefits of a reverse mortgage. Tila's been locally owned and trusted right here in the Seattle Metro for over 25 years. Just ask yourself, do I settle for a retirement that just gets me by? I say no. Tila will see if you can retire more comfortably with a home equity conversion mortgage. They can help you refinance your current mortgage and convert a portion of your home's equity into a line of credit, providing benefits like no monthly mortgage payments or cash back to pay off bills, do home improvement projects, or build up a cash reserve for safety and peace of mind. Plus, you get to keep your home. Tila, spelled Tila, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Call 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the league would get a new CBA and a new TV rights deal done before exploring expansion. Then they did both of those things. He said last week expansion would be discussed at some point this season. But what's that actually mean? And we have a million follow-up questions, especially as a city here in Seattle, desperately longing for an NBA return. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst joins us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. So let's get some of those questions answered. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with just kind of where we are right now, which was the latest update from Adam Silver, who last week said, look, expansion talks will happen this year. Brian, is that actually a monumental step forward? Is it just kicking the can down the road? What was your initial interpretation of Silver's comments?
He applied the brakes a little bit with this last round. I think with the process that was moving, I think there was some expectation that they would take some sort of step this fall at this owners meeting, whether it was just maybe announcing a committee to study the process or announcing something. But he basically sort of applied the brakes a little bit. And I believe a significant reason why the NBA did that was because this Boston Celtics sale, which is forthcoming, there's a legacy franchise for sale that is most likely going to set the record for the highest sales price in league history. And there's going to be a number of reasons to go slower, but you may want to open up the bidding for an expansion team or expansion teams after the market is reset by a gigantic sale. So I think the Celtics coming to market may have had at least some effect on that decision.
Obviously, the owners are in on this situation. What are some of the advantages for the owners for expansion and disadvantages for the owners?
Yeah, so, the owners, essentially when you own an NBA team, you obviously own, your team and the players and the organization, but you essentially own 3.3% of the NBA. And it's 3.3% of that revenue. That makes it very interesting because you can own a team, in Minnesota that gets the same share of the revenue as a team like the New York Knicks, and so it's one of the things that makes it so dynamic. When you sell a piece when you sell a new team, you're basically selling equity. You're basically reducing your ownership stake. And for years, I'm not so sure that the owners loved the idea of reducing their stake, even if it's just by a couple percentage points over the course of decades. That's, potentially hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion+ depending on how many years you want to, go out there. Plus, there's still some organizations in the league that are not financially stable. There's still some teams that really, really rely on revenue sharing to make ends meet. In other words, it was doubtful that you needed to add a market. Maybe you should consider other options. But two things have happened in the last few years. Franchise values have exploded. I can just draw one line. In 2021, the Timberwolves sold for $1.5 billion. Now that sale hasn't gone through, but that was the going rate at the time, $1.5 billion for a team like the Timberwolves. Earlier this year, I guess maybe it was last calendar year, the Charlotte Hornets, which are comparable to the Timberwolves, sold for over $3 billion. 3 years' time, a mid-level franchise doubles in price value. So number one, those increases in franchise prices means that the amount of money that somebody might pay to get into the league is so large, and that the owners share that money, that it makes diluting your share look a little more attractive. The second thing is there's a new TV rights deal, which you mentioned is coming through, and it's an 11-year deal for $76 billion. And when you have that much money contracted coming your way, you're less concerned about maybe giving up a few percentage points when it's such a huge increase on what you were getting.
Hey, Brian, I have several other questions here about what the expansion process looks like and some of what might be going on behind the scenes. But I'm going to quickly leapfrog to the question that most of our listeners want to know, which is, look, are we looking at a world where a return for the Sonics could be imminent? And by imminent, I mean 5 years, right? Or are we just once again seeing what so many fans have seen here for a long time, which is, yeah, maybe the Clippers, just kidding, not the Clippers. You know what I mean? Just kind of this carrot being dangled in front of you.
Well, it'll never be the Clippers because I think that there's an understanding that Steve Ballmer is not allowed to move that team to Seattle. But the thing is, when it comes to an expansion process, there are no rules. I know you can look back to 2004 or 1988 or whatever and compare. There's no ironclad rules. The rules will change. So that's one thing. You really can't look backwards. Everything can be changed at a moment's notice. The second thing I'm going to say is, in talking to people in the league a lot about this, I don't think there's anything definite. I don't think anybody knows for sure on anything. So anything that people talk about what's going to happen, there may be a good probability, but in a lot of ways it's just a projection. If you were to ask me, do I think there's going to be expansion, I would say probably, not definitely. If you were to ask me whether I thought that expansion would include the return of the Sonics, I would say probably, but not definitely. And I think that's just a responsible way to go about it.
When you mentioned expansion, there are 3 teams that are in the forefront, right? Or 3 cities: Las Vegas, Seattle, and then Mexico City's kind of been in the mix. What is the attractiveness of Mexico City, other than what is the most populous city in North America?
Well, it's a gigantic media market. As interesting as Seattle is as a market, and it's the most robust market without an NBA team in the U.S. Mexico City dwarfs it. The idea of potentially making rights deals with all of the country of Mexico, and there is a lot of money. There's a ton of money in Seattle. There's a lot of money in Mexico City. There are areas of Mexico City that when you're walking around, you'd think you might be in London or Tokyo or Los Angeles. There's so much money in places there. But there's many logistical challenges that involve wrap around Mexico City. The NBA is working on it. It's one of the reasons why they have a G League team there now. And they also have an NBA academy there now where they develop players. They're trying to see how it goes, having American athletes living and playing there and getting in and out. But I think that they're more of a long shot. But I think what's important to realize, and again, this is a projection. This is not a guarantee. But when you look at an expansion team, there is going to be several phases. Phase 1 is the league going to expand? And they're talking about it, but when they formally look at it, is that a yes or no? Okay, if that's a yes. 2, what cities? I know that everybody just sort of assumes Seattle and Las Vegas, and that is maybe the way it's going to go. But remember, the NBA may be trying to get concessions out of these cities. And I'm not talking about paying for an arena. There's many, many different things that can benefit a team and create a more value to a potential owner. And so having cities compete with each other potentially benefits the NBA. And then number 3, you're going to get into who is potentially the owner. And I would just say 2 things about that. One, don't assume anybody's going to do any city or any owner or any fan base a favor. No one's going to be mean, but this is going to be a business deal all the way through. The NBA is looking for the best deal. They're not doing something because it would be cool to see something happen. And on all 3 of those fronts, you're going to see the NBA go for the best deal. There may be a beautiful story that happens when the best deal materializes, but you can never, ever forget that.
Knowing that, how, I guess, tempting does Seattle look as a spot if you were an NBA owner, if you were the NBA as just a company, in terms of what Seattle's potential owners could be or the potential earning power of that media market?
Well, I mean, what I have been saying is I don't understand why people are all beating down the door to get to Vegas when Seattle is there. If it were me, I'd rather own the team in Seattle than own a team in Vegas. I think the Seattle market is incredibly attractive. I think the corporate base is incredibly attractive. I'm old enough to remember attending and covering Sonics games, back in the 2000s. I certainly would think that it's a very attractive market. And that's one of the things I would, again, caution people to make an assumption over who may be able to own a team. I suspect if this materializes, people are going to say, the Seattle market is pretty attractive for a number of different reasons. But I really would say a lot of it is just a projection at this point. Can I close my eyes and see the Sonics playing before the end of the decade? Yes. Would I say for sure? I just can't do that responsibly.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, it's been, since 2008 since Seattle had a basketball team. There's a lot of youngsters in this league. And I worry about, I'm not worried, but I wonder what the perception is of Seattle.
I honestly don't think it matters. I mean, there's obviously Seattle has a good reputation of producing players. There's if you got cities together and played all-star games, Seattle would fare pretty well. I think people know about it. Ultimately, Seattle will be a non-glamour market. It's not going to be Los Angeles. It's not going to be New York. It's not going to be Miami. They will be afforded, assuming, if Seattle comes back, they will have the luxury tax to deal with, and they will have the same rules, and they will have the salary cap the same as everybody. You're not going to do something that is all of a sudden going to draw free agents to beat down the door to say they want to go to Seattle. I think the greatest chance for Seattle to be attractive to a free agent destination is if Seattle keeps producing great players and the players want to go back home and play. What you want to do there is you want to have a market that is that thrives, and an ownership group that is stable and can heavily invest in the team, and that's what the NBA would be looking for. I don't have any doubt about the market thriving, and my guess is to get this team in a potential bidding war, the owners are going to have deep pockets, and the arena has obviously just been redone, so the facilities would be good. So I think they'd have a good chance of succeeding, but I don't think you're going to create something that all of a sudden players dream about playing because they want to be in Seattle.
Hey, Brian, earlier I asked you to take on the point of view of an owner, but how about just the point of view of you? I mean, you're an NBA insider, one of the most well-connected people in this industry. You're a journalist, ultimately, too. When you look at all the factors that are in play here, NBA expansion draft process, what happens with conferences, whether or not any teams are relocated or both are expansion teams. What, just to you personally, is the most fascinating process, or maybe, the most curious process about this entire thing?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I had the NBA's books leaked to me, and I got to see what the profit and loss situations were for all 30 teams. And I don't have the most updated numbers, so I can't speak to it up to the moment. But at that time, there was a few teams that were really, really losing a lot of money. And, if you were in business school and you just took a look at the books, you would say, why are we adding to this league? From just a business standpoint, not from a talent standpoint, not from would it be awesome to have Seattle back in standpoint, from a cold, hard numbers standpoint. And so I think that they're going to have to overcome that there are teams that should, frankly, not be relocated. And I say that as somebody from Cleveland, Ohio, who was 17 years old when the Cleveland Browns relocated. I know exactly what that means. Yeah. But you're going to have to convince the billionaires who live in the world of spreadsheets that deal makes sense. And 4 or 5 years ago, when I was looking at the books, I would have said an expansion team doesn't make sense, just from a standpoint. It doesn't mean that Seattle shouldn't have a team, but it may have. I would have suggested moving a team. It's changed a little bit because of how expensive the teams have become. It's so much upfront money. What we projected was, if two teams come in at, more than at $5 billion each, which is potentially the going rate in a couple of years, each team would potentially be looking at getting $300 million. Most owners paid less than that for their franchise. So that huge windfall, I think, has turned this around, and that media rights deal has turned this around, whereas 5 years ago, I didn't think this was possible, and I've now swung over to saying I do think it's something that really could happen.
He is ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst. Brian is one of 3 contributors to ESPN.com's NBA expansion FAQ series right now. There's another one dropping tomorrow that's going to be about what an expansion draft would look like. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, and have a good day.
You are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Cougs head coach Jake Dicker is set to join us at 12:30. Don't go anywhere. Oh, just kidding. We're not breaking yet. Wow. I know. I was looking at the wrong time. We switched things up. Let's just continue to discuss some of what we learned from Brian. I got to be really honest with you guys. Brian's answer about the Sonics took the wind out of my sails just a tiny, tiny bit.
It depends on how you look at it. He has a responsibility not to hype up this region, right? If he came out here and was like 75 to 80% chance Seattle gets a basketball team, New Mexico isn't anything, or Mexico City isn't anything, don't worry about them, it would be irresponsible of him. But he did say he's leaning towards Seattle getting a team. And when you have, and what Seattle did a great job of doing is you still have the rights to the name Seattle Sonics, right? All your records are still going to be here. Like right now, Gary Payton is listed as Oklahoma City's most experienced player, right? He's played the most games in Oklahoma City's history. Once the Sonics get here, all that stuff gets transferred back. So they set it up, Mexico City. It's the rebranding, all the deals have to be done. Obviously, Mexico City is attractive because of how many people are there. But then you think about the travel, man. Like, you're traveling from Mexico City and you're going on road trips for, a week at a time. And it's just a lot to do when you have a city that's ready to go right now. Seattle should be more attractive than Las Vegas. I understand everybody's running Las Vegas. You got a baseball team there. You got your hockey team. But it's set up. I think he's just being responsible. He doesn't want to hype everybody up and then have our hearts ripped out.
I know.
If it doesn't happen.
Someone said, don't go anywhere to herself. She notes to herself. Don't go anywhere. She notes to herself. Yeah, I know. Okay, so I did not feel especially optimistic, mostly because Brian is a very pragmatic person who was trying to be responsible with his coverage of this by saying, can I envision the Sonics there in 10 years? Sure. Do I think it's definitely going to happen? No, I won't commit to that. However, what I did feel encouraged by was when you were asking him about Mexico City as a market. Mexico City, if you were an owner, was like money, 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 money. Like you just see the dollar signs and you're like, oh my God, this dwarfs everything Seattle has to offer. So then I started thinking, oh my God, is Seattle the odd one out here? Like from a nostalgia point of view, from an emotional point of view, from a moral point of view, it feels right that the NBA return a team there. But if I'm an owner, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about being the good guy. I want to make money. No. However, I did feel encouraged by Brian's answer about if he were an owner looking to buy a team, the intrigue he'd have in Seattle as a market.
Yeah. There is now. The owners are all about making money, right? They're all about profit, and you look at Mexico City. And they have a lot more to offer there. But I think somewhere deep down inside, there is some type of tradition that these NBA owners want to have and uphold and all that good stuff. And that's what you have to lean on. He mentioned, like, look, they're going to look at just the plus and minuses and say, can we make money off of this? And you probably can't make more money in Mexico City. But there are some things, and I wanted to ask him this question, didn't get to it, but I want to ask him, what role does the Players Association play in this whole thing? It's the owners own the team. They're the one who are going to profit from the revenue. It doesn't change the salary cap or anything like that. But what type of influence does the Players Association have in this decision making? That's something that I'm interested in finding out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that Adam Silver for Brian seemed to hit the brakes on it because of obviously the Celtics sale and everything that does to it. There's just so many business decisions and business moves behind the scenes that continue to pump the brakes for any kind of expansion. And while I don't want people to feel deflated in the hope of a Sonics return, eventually the league's going to want to make more money, and that is one way to eventually do it. I wondered what Adam Silver's comments about talking about expanding, put together a group of people to do this officially. We're going to put together a panel. That's what we discussed during the season.
Yeah, it's a process, man. And if you read his article, he mentions, like, look, it could be 26-27 or it could be 27-28. Lots of things need to happen and fall in line for this to go down. I was hoping it was 2 years ago. I was hoping it was 25-26, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No.
What was it, back in 2001, I want to say, is when the NBA started talking about expanding, and then the Bobcats popped up a couple years ago. So whenever things get real, you got to give it at least a couple seasons, a couple years for it to become a reality. So the fact that talks are heating up right now, if it were to happen, the soonest it will happen is 26-27.
425, you're forgetting the fact that the NBA hates Seattle. Adam Silver's much different than Stern, and also the NBA wants to make money.
Yeah.
That is what they care about, period. If there was a city that offered more than Seattle, plus a second city that offered more than Seattle, they would give it to those two cities, which is why it was important to hear Brian come on and say, okay, tell us about Seattle as a market. Tell us about where Seattle lies in terms of front runners here. Tell us about whether or not expansion is truly taking off or whether the can's getting kicked down the road a little bit further. What's all this mean?
Yeah, and I also think it's important to ownership is going to be important too. Who owns these teams? You know, they don't just hand out teams to random people, right? There's a vetting that has to happen. There's going to be a group of owners. Your group has to look strong, be able to support deficits, and if things don't pan out, have a concise plan on how to move forward. I think that's an angle that that's going to factor into the decision. That's an angle too, man. Who owns these teams and how are they going to operate?
Someone said that interview got me so mad. I mean, probably just thinking once again about the NBA and reintroducing, but ultimately pausing expansion. And it's not officially, it's not paused. It's just an incredibly slow process.
Yeah, it is.
What I got from see this existing. Yeah, I can.
Man, it better not take.
I think it might.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think so because I think that Vegas is prepared. Vegas is ready, and the sports world is sending everything to Vegas, and you can't expand with just one team. You got to throw another team in there. You look at Seattle. Climate Pledge is one of the nicest arenas in the country right now. There are a lot of things that he didn't mention that I feel like support Seattle getting a team. But again, when you're talking to someone who is a national voice, he has to be extremely responsible about expectations and make sure he's not leading people on. So, yeah, if you read his article, it's pretty good, man. It breaks it all down for you on ESPN.
Heading to the station for Hype Train next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Well, Seahawks come off the road with a very big win, thanks in very large part to our next guest, place kicker Jason Myers with us.
A PAT early in the game or a game winner at the end. I'm running through the same routine, physically, mentally, and just doing my best to make them all enough pressure without too much pressure. So that's really my goal every single kick. Being able to come through for the guys is, after the fact in the locker room, on the plane ride home, it's a lot of fun.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of the 380 people who consider Lee Johnson their home.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Sure, you can fill up at any gas station, but at any gas station, could you score 2 tickets to a Seahawks game? Sure can't. So head to a 76 or Conoco station and turn your next pit stop into a touchdown. When you buy 8 or more gallons with the Fuel Forward app, you can enter to win 2 Seahawks tickets. Next stop, Lumen Field. See official rules for details. Valid July 29th to December 15th, 2024. Copyright 2024 Phillips 66 Company. All rights reserved.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here for Johnson Fitness and Wellness, where I got my home gym. Now the difference? Their expert staff. They ask great questions like, what are your fitness goals? What kind of space are you working with at home? And what's your budget? Johnson Fitness and Wellness experts get you the right machine for your home gym dream setup. And right now, in-store only while supplies last, mention this ad and our listeners get an indoor cycle for free with Select Force USA Home Gyms. Shop stores in Bellevue, Tacoma, Linwood, or visit johnsonfitness.com.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. Hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors.
You're losing your hair and you want a simple solution that works. And you want the best. Modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need world-class Dr. Parango and his team at Advanced Hair. Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to the unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair. Get your hair back with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment that begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. And get this, they were recently crowned 425 Business of the Year. For your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. 425-449-8185. If you qualify, get $250 off and $250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185. Refine your hairline with a team that's redefined hair restoration. AdvancedHair.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back from an off day to take on the Yankees today. Game 1 of this series begins at 6:40 p.m. with a pregame show at 5:30 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. To the NFL, where per ESPN's Brooke Fryer, for the third week in a row, the Steelers are preparing to start Justin Fields over Russell Wilson, the latter of whom continues to work through a calf injury.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. The Seattle Seahawks are coming back home, and we want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch the Hawks take on the Dolphins in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, simply text the word app, APP, to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. Enter daily to increase your chance to win. This contest runs through today, Tuesday, September 17th. Let's head to the station for Hype Train. All right, I'm going to start with some NFL predictions here, and we will start in Seattle, of course. The Seahawks heading back home to Lumen Field, where on Sunday they're going to host the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins not expected to have Tua Tagovailoa, who remains in concussion protocol, instead starting backup Skylar Thompson. The Seahawks will improve to 3-0 to start the season.
Yeah, man, they better get her done, man. You got Skylar Thompson over there, not Tua. That's all that needs to be said. Tua, I hope you feel better. I'm glad you're not playing this game. I'm sorry that had to happen to you. Take care of yourself. But this is the perfect situation for the Seattle Seahawks, man. You're going up against a backup quarterback. You've already seen a rookie and a third-tier quarterback, I would say. Now you get to see a young man who's played in 8 games his whole career. He's completing 57% of his passes. He's only thrown 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. It is set up for the Seahawks to get her done. I'm on that train.
The Seahawks will improve to 3-0 to start the season. Miami coming here on Sunday with presumably a backup, Skylar Thompson. Bump is boarding this train. Curtis, are you?
I am boarding this train. Yes, indeed. The Dolphins, they're in a world of hurt right now. And the Seahawks, I think, are just kind of benefiting from the quarterbacks that they've played through the first 3 weeks of the season. I think the Seahawks' real first test comes on that Monday night game against the Lions in Week 4. I think they beat the Dolphins here in Week 3. They start 3-0, first time since, I think, 2020 they've started 3-0. Skylar Thompson does nothing for me. Tyler Huntley does nothing for me. I think the Seahawks should and will beat the Dolphins.
I'll board this one as well. I know that the Seahawks have had some bad games, including in some wins, but still some bad games and struggles against backup quarterbacks, whether it's Nick Mullins. They did lose last year to Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. However, it's not even because of Skylar Thompson specifically. It's just because I think there are some sincere, genuine improvements defensively for this team. And I am slightly less intimidated by the Miami Dolphins with a backfield that has a few injuries, even though it's really, really good, as opposed to Ramondre Stevenson in Week 2, who is very healthy and very, very good. Let's go to our next one here. Going to the Saints, who have been the only team in the NFL to drop 40 points in back-to-back weeks. First, 47 against the Panthers, the lowly Panthers, but then 40-plus against the Cowboys in Week 2. The Saints will drop 40 for a 3rd week in a row. They're taking on the Eagles.
Ooh-wee. Drop 40, man. That's a tough task to do. And unless you're in two non-conference games, you're an SEC team with a 5-star quarterback, a 5-star running back, and you're playing against a team that you paid $1 million to come over and take an L. Unless you're Michigan and Northern Illinois, it's hard to do, man. The Eagles are giving up 25 points per game. I don't see it happening, but the Saints, if they win this game, you didn't believe them. You didn't believe in them earlier in the opening of the show. You didn't believe in them, Stacey. But if they win this game, do you believe?
I have to. I simply have to. So you're 40 on the Eagles? No, not 40 on the Eagles. The Saints will drop 40 for a 3rd week in a row. They're facing off against the Philadelphia Eagles. Curtis, are you boarding this train?
I mean, the Eagles defense isn't that bad, right? I mean, they did have a bad finish to the 2023 season.
Allowed 42 in Week 13.
Yeah, that was a little bit ago, though. I don't think it happens this week. I'm not boarding the train. I do think, though, the Saints are a much better team than we gave them credit for to start the season. And I think Rashid Shaheed is well on track to having a breakout season. One of the best deep threats in all of the NFL right now. It feels like he's almost kind of leapfrog Chris Olave on their wide receiver depth chart. So I think the Saints still win, but they're not getting 40 points this week.
I'm not boarding this one either. We need a new one. If no one aboard, when absolutely no one boards a train. I just think it's so exceptionally difficult to get 40 points in the NFL. The Saints have made it look easy for 2 weeks, outscoring opponents something like 73-13. And even though the Eagles have defensive issues, and even though they have given up 42 points in Week 13 of last year to the San Francisco 49ers, I just think it's hard to do. And not only do I think we're going to see a regression to the mean for the Saints, I also think that this will be not the most balanced team they faced. I just think it's hard to do that for 3 weeks in a row. It's rare for a reason. It's hard to score that many points in the NFL for a reason. It's not even a knock on the Saints or the Eagles. It's just not going to happen. Next up, inspired by a debate on First Take, Stephen A. Smith sounding off on this one. Bryce Young is the worst number 1 pick in NFL history.
Ooh-wee. Dang. He has not been developed. He hasn't been given a fair shot. It's crazy. You expect these quarterbacks to get into the league and just transform a team. They're not drafting offensive linemen. They're not drafting weapons. They're not picking who their OC is. There are so many things that a quarterback needs to be successful in this league. You look at the guys who get the starts, like Patrick Mahomes landed in a beautiful situation. You didn't have to play early. You had a couple weapons over there. You're good to go. Look at Geno. Geno's in a good situation. I know the offensive line has struggled over the past couple of years, but you got weapons over there. The worst, it's too early to say that, man. The messed up part about it is that they done him so dirty, and now the next opportunity he has to start, if he does not ball out, he's gonna be a career backup.
Yep.
And that is so unfortunate. I blame the league, the owners, and the coaches for a lot of the reason why these number one picks are bust sometimes, because they just aren't developed. They're not ready to go yet. So no, it's too early for me to say that.
Bryce Young is the worst number one pick in NFL history. Curtis, are you boarding this train?
I'm not boarding, and I think maybe it's because Bryce Young I think he still has another shot in the NFL. I think if it's not with the Panthers, another team would probably be willing to take a flyer on him. I'm going to say Jamarcus Russell's the worst number one overall pick of all time because he made a ton of money, too.
Yeah.
Bryce Young is still making
the CBA.
Yeah, Bryce Young's got that rookie wage scale. Jamarcus Russell made $31.5 million guaranteed, signed a 6-year deal coming into the league. And then the thing about Jamarcus Russell, too, is that, remember, he held out his rookie season into the season. Couldn't get a deal done before training camp. So he ate up his first training camp in the NFL. And then also the first couple of weeks of his rookie season before signing his deal, and then was just a colossal disaster. And then the stories about him where didn't they pretend to, they gave him like blank game tape and asked him, hey, go watch this. And then he came back and they wanted to see if he had actually watched it. And he's like, yeah, I totally watched it. And they're like, no, you didn't, because that tape was blank.
You liar, liar, pants on fire. They draft date him.
They absolutely did. So Jamarcus Russell, worst number one overall pick.
I think it's still Jamarcus Russell. I can see the argument being made, though, because the Carolina Panthers, even though they aren't paying Bryce the guaranteed money adjusted for inflation of the league that Jamarcus Russell was getting, they gave up 2 first-round picks and a star wide receiver in order to get the chance to draft Bryce Young. So in addition to Bryce Young only having 11 touchdowns last year, which granted, less than the 13 touchdowns that Jamarcus Russell had in his best season, they also gave up a lot for the chance to draft him.
You know what? Bryce Young didn't ask to be drafted number one. He didn't ask for it. They did it.
Yeah. So the Panthers made a horrible decision.
Horrible.
Take that burden off of Bryce Young's shoulders. God, let him off the hook here. Next up, we brought on Brian Windhorst to talk about the latest with NBA expansion. We will see the NBA return to Seattle before the end of the decade.
It's going down, man. It better happen, man. It better happen. You take this team away from Seattle, a place that produces hoopers all day. This team is ready. You kept the name. You got a new arena. It only makes sense. I know Mexico City is attractive. Forget all that noise. Keep the NBA in America, and let's get it going. But it's going to happen, man. I feel like, I know people were looking at the text lines that people are just so down now after talking to Brian. But again, I think he's being responsible. He's leaving all options open because you never truly know. But my gut feeling, that's all I'm going off of. And also some other things too, man. I think ownership matters. I think that travel matters. Obviously making money does as well. But yeah, it's going to happen. It's going down. Young Jock, let's get it.
We will see the NBA return to Seattle before the end of the decade. Curtis, are you boarding this train?
I'm boarding. I don't think Brian Windhorst was a complete wet blanket. He definitely left the door open. He said it will probably happen. He said not definitely, but probably. I think that definitely means that they'll be back.
Yeah, I'm boarding this one as well. I wish that it was sooner, and I wish that we didn't have to wait as long, but I have a hard time imagining a world where the year is 2030 and we're not at least in the process of getting the Sonics here in Seattle. Just absolutely unreal to me. All right, next up, talking Apple Cup. You know, when you think about it, speed option to the short side, it was a good call.
My goodness gracious.
It was a good call if you would have executed it. If you would have blocked correctly.
They would have won if they executed it.
They would have won if they executed it. Speed option to the short side is not a bad call.
Here's the thing about any option play. You need space and time for it to really work. You need the guy you are optioning to declare what he is doing. Is he going after the quarterback? Is he going after the running back? And what allows him to declare is time and space. You stretch it out as long as you can, because eventually he's going to have to pick. Also, you need to block it correctly. There was nobody for that man to option. Will Rogers, he was put in just a tough position. He knew as soon as he snapped the ball, he's looking for somebody looking at him dead in his eyeballs who's wearing a white jersey, and there was nobody there because they were blocked. So not only is it a horrible call because you need space and time to execute it, you got to have your guys do what they're supposed to do in that moment. So, nah, man, that was horrible. It was not a good call, and I hope Fish learns from it because they got a heck of a schedule coming up.
Is there a Jetfish defender in the audience? Are we going to get a Jetfish defender? Speed option to the short side was a good call. Like, if you execute it, it's not a bad call, is almost what the hype train is. Curtis, are you boarding this train?
I'm bored because listen, hear me out. Hear me out. This is a great call because content-wise, these last 2 days have been amazing. If the Huskies converted it, oh man, it would have been okay. The Huskies won another Apple Cup, woohoo! Or if they had, thrown an incomplete pass and been like, right call, just couldn't make the play. But no, it's like, what are you doing with that kind of call, you idiot?
So it's a good call for you.
Head coach,
you bum. Curtis, you don't mean that.
I do. I absolutely do. It was a great call because it has given us tremendous content over the last 48 hours. So kudos to Jetfish for looking out for us.
Do you guys think that that's okay, let's go back to Super Bowl 49. Follow me. Meet me here. We're in Super Bowl 49. We're at the goal line. I know we don't want to be here. You know what happens, but let me just walk you through this one more time. I would not say that the idea of a pass was a bad idea by any means. You know what I mean? Like, if we were applying this to Super Bowl 49, I'd say, well, why are you targeting Ricardo Lockett on this play? And like, hey, Ricardo, you got to try to bat that down if you can. And Malcolm Butler with just a great defensive play, heads up play by him. Good job. But like, it was not atrocious. You can see the logic behind it for Seattle. Not what I would have done, but you can see the logic. Can you apply the same to what Jetfish did? Or is there no logic? You're like, I simply cannot.
I cannot see logic. I would never. This is a guy who's only coached at the high school level. I would never call a speed option to the boundary to win a ball game, 4th and 1. No. You got to think about it, too. Like, you can't even hold safeties. You can't even run your receiver 30 yards down the field to even open up a gap so there is more space. Like, there's the influence down there in the 1 yard line is so minimal. It's crazy. They said it was a go-to play. It might have been a panic play, but that was after a timeout too. So they looked at it and said, where are we? Down in distance. Where are we on the field? Oh, right hash? Cool. Speed option to the boundary. I feel bad for those players being put in that position, but as a coup, I'm all right. I'll take it.
A listener just sent me, I need to see if this is real. It's Pro Football Talks power rankings for week 3.
Yeah, they had the Seahawks like 20th or something.
Behind the Bears, behind the Browns, behind the Bengals, behind the Chargers.
At what number?
Chargers are 2-0. Bengals, amazing weapons. The Seahawks are 21st.
Goodness gracious. Disrespectful. That's Geno disrespect. It's all right, man. It's okay.
With the Bears, you're going all on optimism, and you're looking at what they've done, and you're going, oh, they have so much promise here. Caleb Williams hasn't thrown a touchdown.
He has not thrown a touchdown.
He has not thrown a touchdown. Why are the Bears ahead of the Seahawks?
I don't get it.
If you're going just on potential and just on promise and just on excitement and maybe on vibes.
Is that what we're doing? Caleb has 267 yards this year. All right, Geno had, 300-something in one game.
Yeah.
He's completing 56% of his passes right now. They've rushed for 155 total. I can't talk. We probably didn't rush for that much too. Yeah, this is crazy.
I just don't know about placing the Bears. The Bears is all hype.
What formula do they have? Send me the formula. I want to know what they're working with.
I need to know too. I'm going to find this. We can talk about this a bit more tomorrow. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Eagles choked it away last night against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football, losing 22-17. 21. What's the real headline?
I bet they had a peaceful, easy feeling after that win. That's a 1972 hit song from the Eagles.
That's right.
I wish we could play. I wish we had the rights. 'Cause I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Probably if I heard it.
Peaceful, easy feeling.
Something tells me that's not it.
It's so easy. That peaceful, easy feeling. I know I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of people texting in.
No, that's it.
How could you disparage the name of the Eagles like that?
How dare you talk about the Eagles? The Eagles.
Salk probably texting
known
in.
for hit
you
songs.
You don't know the Eagles? A band that was popular 15 years before you were born?
I feel like they have a Christmas song I like, but I don't know for sure.
That can't be right.
No, I think they do have a Christmas song. I'm sorry to all my Eagles fans listening.
Please
Eagles,
come home for Christmas.
That's what it is.
Eagles tricked
Great
it off.
song. Great song from the Eagles.
Eagles were like hip hop in Miami in the early 2000s. Trick Daddy was running it. They tricked this one off. It was Saquon Barkley was having a good game.
Man.
He drops the ball. Defensively, Kirk Cousins' last drive, they applied zero pressure. Good for Kirk Cousins. Ever since QB on Netflix, I've been a supporter. But yeah, Eagles, come on now. Embarrassing. They got booed. They should have been
Philly
booed.
fans are tough.
They got booed. That's what they do.
I also think that the Falcons are a much better team than they looked in week 1. So heading into it, I think people thought like, oh, the Eagles, like, they should really, really beat this team. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The Falcons have a ton of weapons. Like, they have good pieces. They just notoriously cannot take advantage of them and have not been a stellar defense essentially since Matt Ryan was at his very best. We were all expecting a better Falcons team in week 1. We saw versions of that team in week 2. So this was, I thought, a pretty evenly matched game.
Trick Daddy, Miami, 2000s.
Headline rewrite.
Headline number 2, Jed Fish speaking yesterday about his infamous fourth down call against the Cougs in the Apple Cup that blew up in his face, rightfully so. Here's what he had to say.
We had a chance. We didn't execute the play. I told the team last year it was 4th and 1 with 1:15 left on the -29 and the 11-0 Washington team against the 5-6 Washington State team, and they converted a reverse. A year later, it's 4th and 1 with 1:12 with a 24-19 game, and we don't convert on an option play. That happens. If the reverse doesn't convert, Washington State wins last year 24-21. So in our case, the option play didn't convert, and we didn't execute the play. And if we executed the play, it would have converted.
If they executed the play, they would have converted. What's the real headline?
And if the Huskies scored more points, they would have won. So that's how that
First off,
works.
why you got to throw our records out there like that? Oh, 5-6.
You know why? You know why?
Of course, if you executed correctly, if you left a guy on block like you were supposed to, if you climbed up to the Mike linebacker who ended up making the play, if you didn't call it into the boundary, if you just flip the formation, there are a lot of things, man. I've won every game I've coached after I've coached it. Every game. I'm undefeated after I've coached the game because I go and I look at film, I make my corrections, and I coach my guys up. That's what he needs to do. Is coach his guys up because it's only going to get tougher for UW, man. They're in a tough conference. They got to play Michigan this year at home. It's going to be tough, but they asked for this. They wanted this. Go ahead and get it and get your guys right and try to make some noise.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Mariners got big help from Cleveland last night. They only trail Minnesota by 2 games in the wild card race now. What's the real headline?
More like the Cleveland Guardian Angels, am I right? Looking up to the sky. Thank you, God.
Hey, won't he?
Won't he do it?
Did you see who hit the game-winning home run for Cleveland last night?
No.
Former Coug, Kyle Manzardo.
Hey, that's what I'm talking
Everything
about.
Cougs this week.
Everything's coming up wazoo. Someone tweeted at you and I think assuming we were both Cougs. And I almost corrected them, and then I was like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to be polite. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The Mariners have some work to do. They're in position, right? They're in striking position but they need to take care of the Yankees. They also need some help. If they just do what they're supposed to do, they're going to be in the mix. But chances are it's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough against the Yankees, man. That lineup is crazy. We all know how this goes down. Has Aaron Judge homered yet? Didn't he go like the longest streak of his career without hitting a home run? Has he homered
fun
yet?
fact.
He did. He had a grand slam the other night.
Oh, snap.
But then wasn't there, what was it that he had done?
He had appeared on Paw Patrol.
Yes, that
Kid
was
show.
That was
and went over for like a couple of weeks. It was like, I think it was the longest homerless streak of his career.
He had that Paw Patrol pause, is what I call it. It's notorious. When you go on Paw Patrol,
That's right.
You notoriously do not hit home runs for like at least 2 weeks after.
Always happens.
That's what it is.
Always
huh?
happens.
That's science.
Let's send the whole Astros, invite them to Paw Patrol.
For real.
And have them get some of that pause.
Send Houston's entire squad.
Send them a fake note. Hey, welcome. We need
Paw
you at Paw Patrol. They
You
just
guys
show
are
up.
coming in.
Like, I guess.
Yes, it's ours. It's ours for the taking. I have a little bit of sound here from John Morosi, kind of talking about the path forward when it comes to the Mariners and what they're going to need to do. I didn't play it earlier. I described it, so I'll play it this time. This is John on with Wyman and Bob.
The number that popped into my head was 10. Now, and maybe that's getting greedy, but you've got to be almost flawless. And that's why it's a very narrow chance of it happening. You basically have to play like the Rockies of 2007 and then hope that the Twins and to some extent the Tigers play like the Red Sox of 2011. So you're basically hoping like two one-off things all happen at the same time.
Now, John, it's only possible, or it's only impossible if you don't think it can happen, man. You know, not with that attitude.
No.
Can they do it? The reason I play that is he was asked, hey, what's the magic number for the Mariners? He said, I'm thinking it's going to be 10. You're going to need to rattle off like 10 wins here. It feels impossible. It feels so silly to say, I have to tell you that. Like, as hosts, we have to tell you they are still alive, and here's a path forward for them.
Yeah, because the numbers tell you that they're still there. But when you look at what needs to happen and what they need to do, you start to really, you think of it differently. And you start to weigh your options and say, all right, what are the chances that they're able to do this? Anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett once said, and Jason Tatum. But
we did it!
But it's
Try a new cocktail on a rooftop bar or watch the game with friends and explore the lively nightlife scene. The Dining District at the Bellevue Collection, where your taste adventure begins. Learn more at BellevueCollection.com/dining district.
Uh-oh. Looks like your plumbing just threw a Hail Mary into the wrong end zone. But don't worry, folks. Flowhawks Plumbing and Septic is here to intercept the mess. From busted pipes to clogged drains, we've got the plays that'll turn your plumbing fumble into a winning touchdown. Why risk a penalty? Call Flowhawks, the hometown heroes who'll blitz that plumbing problem before it costs you the game. Because when your pipes are on the line, we bring our A game. Talk to the Hawk. 1-800-FLOWHAWK. That's 1-800-FLOHAWK.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Prostate cancer is the second most common cancer in males. When detected early, it can be curable. Swedish CyberKnife offers a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer, typically requiring only 5 treatments. CyberKnife patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Summer is here, and now's the time to break through those weight loss frustrations. Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and we have a proven system that can help you lose weight and get healthy. No drugs, no side effects, no calorie counting, no exercise. Just teaching you the simple steps to become a fat-burning machine and keep it off long term. Remove the stress of trying to do this on your own and picture being down 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days with our help. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle changes. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
At least for me, no matter how good a weight loss plan is, no matter how good the food tastes,
I need a level of accountability. I need somebody watching and monitoring me to make sure I'm actually sticking with it.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino. Seahawks Insider. Brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba became the first pair of Seahawks to have 10-plus catches and 100-plus receiving yards in a single game Sunday. One of the big plays for DK was a 56-yard touchdown on a broken coverage from the Patriots in the first quarter. Geno Smith explained postgame how that happened.
Yeah, that was a great call, man. They went cover zero early in the game. That was the big touchdown to DK, and it kind of scared them out of it. They didn't call it for the rest of the game, but we knew they'd get back to it. That's what they want to do in those critical situations, and Grubb was on it, made the right call. We executed the play, and we're just happy that happened. Allowed us to get in field goal range, and then J-Mod kicked it in, does what he does at all times.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
It's the last days of summer, and everyone's trying to squeeze in just a little bit more. It's Mike Salk here, and making the most of your summer could mean a road trip, camping, a round of golf with some old friends, or that big home project, right? If a roof was on your checklist this year, now's the time to make it happen. The days are slowly getting shorter, the temperatures are starting to decrease, and the window is closing on getting that quick roof replacement. Worry not. You can still get it done with Riverside Roofing. Here's what you do. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. You'll be prompted with a quick quote, enter your information, and they'll give you a quote in less than 60 seconds. Do it right now. Putting it off any longer won't make it go away. It only makes it more difficult. So trust Riverside Roofing with your roof replacement. I did, and you should as well. They're also certified Tesla roof installers, so they can go that direction, and they'll use the catch-all system to protect your lawn. They're Master GAF Elite certified. You can find them online at riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning, your crown is disappearing. Hair loss had me feeling like I was losing my identity altogether. Well, I've got some good news. It's a simple one-day treatment that worked for me. The Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. It starts growing new hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly memberships. Those can help retain what you have. But what if you want your own natural hair in specific areas like I did? You decide how much, how thick, and where. From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to the world-class leading doctors like Dr. Parango, it's not a maybe your hair will grow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. Advanced Hair is the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and they are the team that I personally recommend. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Here's the snap. Rodgers rolls out to his right, looking to pitch it. He does the last second. The Cougs get the stop. The Cougs get the stop. Shy of the first down and getting into the end zone. Washington State with the stop. Cougs take over.
Joining us right now, Cougs head coach Jake Dickert on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Coach, Bump and I both have love for you. I got to say, though, that was painful for me. Bump was celebrating. Bump's excited. How are you feeling?
I know there's one of us that's having a really good time. And, Bump, I appreciate the open to the show the other day. It's always good to spread that Coug love and to hear that fight song over there in Seattle.
No, it was a great game, and both Bump and I were saying we actually both loved your comments after, because what we love most about this is it's a rivalry, right? You take shots, they're emotional games, and I thought it was important considering that my side has a lot of new faces and new coaching staff. I appreciated that the Cougs were coming into this one with a ton of emotion, and that you came in as kind of like, look, I'm the veteran of the Apple Cup. I've got to win. I know what this takes, and I know this kind of tradition. This one, though, Coach, had to feel just a little bit sweeter. Am I wrong?
I think it's one of those things, Stacey. We came so close last year.
Yeah.
And they obviously made the play in 4th and 1. This year, we made the play in the 4th and 1. But, last year carried a lot more to it, even just as far as me wanting more for that football team and kind of how that went. And then obviously to now kickstart a season in a big rivalry, win like that early in September, I think needs to be a springboard for our program. And we got to be really mature to handle the emotions of that game and, the praise of love that gets heaped on you when you win this one, especially as a Coug. So we got to get right back to work. But it was definitely a big moment for what we've been building for 3 years in our football program.
Hey, Coach, we've kind of seen like 3 different games from Mateer, right? You got that explosive first game where 300-plus yards throwing the rock, and then the second game where he ran it a bunch. And this game, he did a little bit of both. And UW was trying to overwhelm him, right? They're trying to confuse him with the fronts and the spies and blitzing. How do you think he handled that game in this season so far?
I mean, Bump, the real Big Ten is a fantastic line by you, by the way. I mean, just great creativity there. But I just think, especially, you got to remember and put it in perspective, this is only John's 3rd game. So to see him be able to use a variety of different skill sets and what it brings to our football team overall is a different way to win each week. And I think that's what you got a chance to see. The explosive offense week 1, the grinded out, run it offense week 2, and then the whatever it took team win, obviously a big slant and special teams our way on Saturday, just to find different ways. And I think that's what good teams do. But that comes from the versatility and competitive nature at the quarterback position.
Hey, Coach, before we talk about some of these important upcoming battles for your team, let's talk about the battle they had, that 4th down stop. I mean, it is the play of the game for a reason, a very controversial play call and then excellent execution by the Cougs on that one. What could you take us inside, just the mind of a coach? What are you seeing there? What are you wondering, if Jed Fish calls and then take us through what happened?
Well, those last really 4 plays, because once they get inside the 10, clock's ticking, they're going to get 4 plays in. And if they advance the ball on 1st down, we start wasting our timeouts to save ourselves time for a drive. We stuff them twice. They get the ball down to the 1. I kind of tell our defensive coordinator, give them a different look because we're going to call timeout. And then they ended up taking timeout, so kind of worked in our favor just as far as that goes. So they saw a look that we weren't going to run. And then when we came back out, we made the declaration. We said, they're going to have to beat us passing. Let's go attack the run. Fortunately, they did run and did a different type of run than what their strength probably is. And our guys really rallied to the football. So I almost called the timeout right before it was snapped. We felt good about it. Just the emotions of that moment when you replay it back, there was a lot of big decisions kind of happening all in split seconds. So that's the chess piece, I think, that everyone plays. And fortunately, it went our way in that one.
Yeah, I was excited, Coach. As soon as they snapped the ball, I saw the alignment. I saw where you guys were in. I saw what they were trying to do. Within 2 steps, I knew that was being stuffed, man. Thornton unblocked. There were a bunch of things they did wrong, and you guys did right on that play. The best thing about playing in Seattle is the short flight home, man. What was that like, and what was the reception like when you got back to the Palouse?
Oh, man, it was just incredible. The celebration on the field, in the locker room, all the hard work. Because I did tell our guys, Bump, this isn't a week's worth of work. This is 9.5 months of grinding, of training, of creating a vision of what can be possible for our football team. To get off the plane, all the coaches' families were there at the airport, then obviously getting back on the buses, to just drive through, kind of back into Bowler and just have fans everywhere was just really cool for our players to understand what this means to our university, our student body, our community, our alumni. It's a big deal. And, one thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough in today's football is the money. I mean, the last 2 weeks, we've beaten, $5 million plus teams, and we're not even close to 7 figures yet. Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot that goes into the work of winning big-time football games.
What do you feel like you try to, I'm going kind of big picture here, but I was struck by your quote we were going to win this game, not because we hated them, but we loved each other. And I think I was just thinking about like the culture you've built. And when you talk about competing with teams that are going to have a ton of money with NIL deals, or they're just going to have different resources and weapons, what do you try to build as a culture to kind of combat with, look, we're not going to give you that, but we'll give you this?
I think it was important. Last year we had 4 guys that are drafted, in the NFL to show that things can happen here. All your dreams can be made true here at Washington State. We've had incredible consistency from the head coach position, both coordinators, strength coach, and I just think guys feel comfortable here. And one thing I try to tell them, Stacey, in recruiting is you better be where you're comfortable, where you're valued, where you're going to be invested in, and not just moving around, because that's hard. When you're 18 to 23, it is hard. And I don't think enough people take that into play. So when we came back in January, and I would say 90% of our roster came back, I told our coaches to take immense pride in that, because we didn't always have the success we wanted last year. These kids stayed for us, to be coached by us, to be developed by us, and ultimately families trusted us to make sure that we're creating their young people into men that are ready for this world. So we take a lot of pride in that. And if you stick to the developmental process, you can really have a good, mature football team.
Hey, Coach, I love that you're on a Tuesday, but I hate it for you at the same time, because you're reliving a game that you've already moved on from, right? You got San Jose State coming up this Friday at 7 p.m. Another test, man. What are you seeing out of San Jose State, and what do you expect?
I would say, Bum, that's been the best thing for us. And we've had to wipe this really quick. Normally Mondays are just a walkthrough. We were back in half pads yesterday afternoon, and I was just watching the energy and the focus, and it was really high, because I think they understand, the opportunity that is created. San Jose consistently over the last 4 years, has been in bowl games. They're dynamic offensively. They're willing to take the ball down the field at every stop. And on defense, they're not waiting around. They're takeaway machines. They're being aggressive up front. They have 10 takeaways through 3 games so far this season. And you know how this is. As we go through kind of this Mountain West partnership, we're going to have a target on our back. And that's okay, because this is a standard operation that we need to be about. Nameless, faithless opponents, delivering our best each and every week, and keep growing and getting better as a football team. And our maturity will be tested in a big way Friday night.
As a reminder, as Coach just said, this game is Friday, not Saturday. Friday, September 20th, 7 p.m. kickoff, San Jose State against Washington State. He is Cougs head coach Jake Dickert, kind enough to join us, give us some time after a huge Apple Cup victory. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Go Cougs.
Hey, go Cougs. I appreciate you guys having me on.
See ya. Man, it took everything in me not to say, we'll get you next year, but I was like, he's so cool.
you better hang on to it for a year, because we're
you better
coming
watch
for you.
out. But then I'm like, oh, man, Jake's really nice. He's just a cool dude.
He's a good dude, man.
He's a good coach, man. He's a good dude. All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776. Coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Well, Seahawks come off the road with a very big win, thanks in very large part to our next guest, place kicker Jason Myers with us.
A PAT early in the game or a game winner at the end. I'm running through the same routine, physically, mentally, and just doing my best to make them all enough pressure without too much pressure. So that's really my goal every single kick. Being able to come through for the guys is, after the fact in the locker room, on the plane ride home, it's a lot of fun.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
Well, it's buck season at Pacific Power Batteries with our $10 battery bucks for your next trip when you come and buy $100 worth of merchandise. Yes, these are for our dear customers who could use the dough. Pacific Power Batteries has lots of batteries for all of your outdoor gear this fall season. At our stores, some folks might get that deer in the headlights look at the variety of batteries for just about anything. Family owned since 1985, Pacific Power Batteries with batteries for everything.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing.
Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Doorbuster deals are coming during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Starting September 16th, save on a DeWalt 12-Volt Max Extreme Drill Driver Combo Kit or a DeWalt 12-Volt Max Extreme Impact Driver. Your choice for just $99. Plus, save $80 on a Bosch 18-Volt Brushless Cordless Impact Driver. Was $179, now just $99. Shop these deals and more before they're gone, because Lowe's knows pros. Valid 9/16 through 9/18. Selection varies by location.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. Hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors.
Stacey Rost here. It's time to recognize a woman in our sports community with the 2024 Women of Inspiration Award. The nominations are in, and the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events, needs your help selecting a winner. Voting is open now until September 20th at woiseattle.org. The winner will receive a generous cash donation from WISE and their partners for the cause of their choice. Help honor a local woman today. Vote by September 20th at woiseattle.org.
Seahawks Player Spotlight.
Man, it felt good to go out there and be able to contribute.
Exclusive interviews with your favorite Seahawks.
You know, we got a genius as the head coach.
Every day with Wyman and Bob.
At Mazda of Everett, you can always expect to receive exceptional customer service and exceptional deals. Mazda of Everett is a great friend of Seattle sports, and you'll be satisfied with both. Shop from over 600 new Mazdas in stock. And right now, they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? It feels like working with family when you work with Mazda of Everett. You will drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Would you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Hey, babe. Yeah, the bank password is moneybags, but a $ instead of the S.
Mr. Moneybags here is about to get his identity stolen.
Wait, what?
If he used 1Password, he can share logins, credit cards, and other important information with just his wife, not the whole store. Sir, your card's been declined.
Again?
Security is complicated. 1Password isn't. And right now, get a free 2-week trial at onepassword.com. That's 2 free weeks at onepassword.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions in. Any question now to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. We're going all Mariners from 1 to 2 with the Dugout. Mariners insider Shannon Drayer joining us. So what I need to know is right now, What I need to know, what's your favorite movie quote? What's the best movie quote?
They were combs. They were cones.
They were cones?
Yeah, I love that.
What's that from?
From The Wedding Singer. They were combs.
What do I always say? I always say, I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you another time. From, I think it's from, what's the one where...
It's I Love You, Man,
Paul,
right?
I Love You, Man.
Yeah.
I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you another time.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. You guys got one of your favorite. Matt looks so confused.
This is a tough one.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of good
so many
choices.
good ones.
A lot of really good choices. What do you find yourself saying the most?
Probably Do or Do Not, There Is No Try. Yoda from, I think, Empire Strikes Back.
Nerd!
Okay, you ask a nerd a question. You're going to get a nerd
May the
answer.
Force be with you.
I tell my kids that all the time, Matt.
Luke, I'm your
Tell me that all the
father.
time.
You a Star Wars guy? That's
You do or do
I'm
not.
your father.
Look, my uncle was big, so he forced me to watch, and I took it a lot.
He's just trying to pander because he wants you guys to be best friends.
You know what? It worked that
First
time.
off,
It worked that time.
my best friend left me a air mattress downstairs on Saturday because I flew in at midnight. I came straight to the studio because I had
That
a
was
7
very
a.m.
sweet, Matt.
Radio show for the Hawks. My man Matthew came through clutch.
He keeps thanking me
Nelson
for
and-
it, and now I regret it.
Nelson and Kent says, the best movie quote very relevant right now from Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Did we just become best friends? Yep. That's the thing. Like, there's lots
love
of
that.
great thought-provoking quotes. I just find myself saying most often the dumb ones.
My wife will be, did you put the towels away? I'll be like, there were combs. I'll just
I don't even know what it is, and I need to watch it now. Let's see. 866-979-3776. Get your questions in. 866-979-3776. What I need to know. Have you ever actually run out of gas?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Like
I've never
twice
done
in my
it.
life. Twice in my life.
What happened?
I was on my way. This is like within the last 5 years. I was trying to push it. I was trying to get home. My wife wanted me to do something, and I'm like 3 miles away, and I'm like, come on now. And you feel the power just leaving your car. And I ran out of gas, and I called my father-in-law. He was like, mijo, give me 10 minutes. I'll be there. And came to the rescue.
Well, someone said also the Any Given Sunday speech. Yeah, but I only know the first line, which I don't even know what to say, really. And then I mess everything else. I lost all my money.
It sounds right.
Kind of sound like Yoda doing the Any Given Sundays.
I don't even know what to say.
She
really.
does.
You find the man who will go that extra inch. I don't even know it. Claw. Oh, we will die.
We will die.
We will die. 866-979-3776. How do you think the Huskies will fare this season, and will they be ranked higher than Wazoo by the end of the year?
I don't think it's likely that they'll be ranked higher. They just have a tougher schedule, man. It's that loss to Wazoo was bigger than what I think people realize. They still got to play Michigan. You got SC. You got Penn State. You got Oregon. Their schedule
That's right.
is
They
brutal.
go to Penn State this year.
It's brutal, man.
866-979-3776. I need questions, not just people sending in movie lines, although they are making me laugh. Someone, big gulps, huh? Well, see you later.
That's from Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yeah, someone also had the all right. Of course, Matthew McConaughey.
I like the Dumb and Dumber line. Pull over. It's a cardigan, but thanks for asking.
That's one of
Thanks for
the
noticing.
few movies that I have actually
man.
watched for the first time as an adult and thought, okay, no, I can see why
You
it's
see the
funny.
hype, yeah.
Yeah, like I get it.
It's
Like these are
amazing.
some funny lines. Because most of them, like, if you're told about a movie over and over and over, and most especially if that movie has completely permeated pop culture, you already know all the lines.
Yeah.
You already know the jokes. You already know the twists. You already know everything about it. So when you watch it, you're like, all right, it's kind of ruined for me. It's just not as good. But,
But Dumb and
that
Dumber
was one
was-
that was still kind of funny.
Yep.
And I will give you this, Matt. When I watched Star Wars for the first time, I was in my 20s, and I was like, okay, it's funny. The way I initially described it was a robot and a vacuum are friends, and they try to help Luke Skywalker.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's kind of accurate.
But yeah, it's still a movie. It was
The
genuinely good.
smartest rumba ever.
Genuinely enjoyed Star Wars. I thought it was good. Let's see. What I need to know. Do you have the inside scoop or opinion as to why Kenny McIntosh didn't get on the field this past Sunday?
Pass pro. It has to be pass pro. Running the rock is not an issue. And I think Grubb gives Geno 2 plays, a run play and a pass play. And if it's not just a design run play, I don't think they trust McIntosh in pass pro.
And so, like, if your pass pro is better, you'd be out there.
I think so.
At what point is it worth someone being bad at one thing because they deliver elsewhere? Like, if he had better burst, maybe, or like if he was more of a home run.
We don't even know.
Yeah.
We ain't seen him.
Because I'm like, there have certainly been guys that have liabilities in one area. Jimmy Graham, not a good blocker. Jimmy Graham, capable of boxing someone out in the end zone.
Yeah. I just don't. He looked good against. Here's the mess thing about balling out in preseason. They go, oh, well, you're playing against 2s and 3s. All right, what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
So it has to be pass pro.
What I need to know, do you have mixed emotions with football season starting, knowing summer is over? No, I hate summer.
None at all.
No, bye,
I don't
summer.
hate summer.
Bye.
I'm sure my wife does because she has the kids all day.
Yeah,
She has some alone time now.
Summer's fine. Fall is. This is the best time of the year, and I don't know why you guys don't see that.
I hate the rain.
We have. I hate the rain. It's so sad.
No,
you can be inside
with
everywhere.
Bass in my voice. I did not say it in a whiny voice.
I hate the rain.
Thank you.
There's not only still sunny days and pleasant days. Like you could still on a handful of days go for a walk with just a t-shirt on and no coat. But also, you can reintroduce fall fashion to your wardrobe. You can wear your hoodies. You can wear your sweatshirts. You can wear your big jackets. You have college football starting up, hockey's going to come back. Like, everything is amazing.
You're not going to sell people on this who just don't like it.
Well, then I think you guys, I've never understood the love of summer.
I do
it's
because
it's an overrated.
You play golf all day. And then football season starts. I love the seasons, actually.
You're a big fan of seasons?
Big
You're a big
fan
fan
of
of the passage of time?
Big fan of seasons. This is the best time of the year.
We didn't get seasons in Cali. It was just hot.
Okay, that's fair.
So now it's like, oh,
okay.
I love everything.
Okay, so for you, you're like, I like it because it's the only time you get that, and then it leaves, and then you. Okay, the only thing I'll say is January, February, March, trash months. So sorry, trash time of the year, garbage time, throw it out. Outside of obviously the NFL playoffs, but the NBA, lots of other stuff we like.
See?
I know. I'm just saying it's a good time in the sports calendar. I don't know what to tell you. Fall and winter are great. All right, Shannon Dreyer joining us next.
Seattle Sports has your chance to win 4 tickets to watch the Seahawks host the Miami Dolphins on September 22nd. Just open the Seattle Sports app, click the Win tab in the bottom right corner, and enter for your chance to win.
In the back of the end zone, DK. Does he have his feet in it now?
You can enter once per day, so the more times you enter the Seattle Sports app, the better your odds will be.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Do it every day, September 13th through September 17th. Details and rules at seattlesports.com/win.
Holy catfish!
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from, and you can compare them side by side right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown and a custom engraving, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jeweler's workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about football. Have fun, but be responsible on game day. Even if it's on your best friend's 100-inch 4K UDR and surround sound 5.1. If you feel sacked in the fourth quarter, a designated driver needs to take you to your end zone. If you get carried away with too many Bloody Marys after a few too many Hail Marys, call for a timeout. You get the point. Be safe on game day.
1-800-DUI-AWAY.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about Google. It's so important, it's a verb. Google it. Then check out our hundreds of 5-star Google reviews. They ended my case with such favorable results that even the judge was surprised. Give yourself the absolute best chance of staying out of jail and give Bradley Johnson a call. I contacted other firms with no call back. I then called Bradley Johnson and scheduled a meeting immediately. Google us.
1-800-DUI-AWAY.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And you may see your favorite football and baseball teams wearing light blue towels, armbands, or ribbons. It's all in an effort to increase awareness of the second most common cancer and the number 2 cause of cancer death for males. Prostate cancer, when detected early, is curable. In Seattle, Swedish CyberKnife offers a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. When other radiation treatments may last 6 to 9 weeks, Swedish CyberKnife treatment is typically 5 days, and each session lasts less than an hour. The system delivers radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. The vast majority of CyberKnife patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. If you, a friend, or a family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Summer is here, and now's the time to break through those weight loss frustrations. Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and we have a proven system that can help you lose weight and get healthy. No drugs, no side effects, no calorie counting, no exercise. Just teaching you the simple steps to become a fat-burning machine and keep it off long term. Remove the stress of trying to do this on your own and picture being down 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days with our help. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle changes. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
At least for me, no matter how good a weight loss plan is, no matter how good the food tastes, I need a level of accountability. I need somebody watching and monitoring me to make sure I'm actually sticking with it.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back from an off day to take on the Yankees. Game 1 of this series begins at 6:40 p.m. with the pregame show starting at 5:30 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. In the NFL, for ESPN's Brooke Pryor, for a third week in a row, the Steelers are preparing to start Justin Fields over Russell Wilson.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is The Dugout, every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy. Inside access to the clubhouse from Shannon Drayer on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It is The Dugout, all Mariners from 1 to 2. Joining us now, Mariners insider Shannon Drayer on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
It's going. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Obviously, a great series to talk about here, and at least some momentum heading into a very, very decisive 12-game stretch. I'm actually going to start with just a general outlook at what the Mariners are going to need to do. Shannon, they are still alive here. What kind of run are we going to need to see, and where are we going to need to see some help?
You know what? Kind of like the run they've kind of been on. It felt like they were pretty down for a while, but they're because their losses were horrific and dramatic, but the wins that they piled up around them, I think have maybe masked a little bit what they have done in the last 10 days, which is, I think, what you need to do right now. I don't think you have many losses left to give, 2, maybe 3. As far as help goes, the schedules are interesting. We've been saying all along, don't look at the wild card, and you keep taking a peek at the wild card, and it's maybe look at the wild card is a better idea. But, they obviously have got to win every game that they have got, within their grasp that are remaining. They do need help. But, to all of a sudden only have one team, or I guess 2 teams, to get into the spot ahead of you, even without that tiebreaker, when you look at the schedules of what Detroit has coming, of what the Twins have coming, you start to feel a little bit like, okay, maybe there's a glimmer here. So, I think that this, with the momentum that they have had and the way that they are playing right now, and kind of seeming to hit a little bit of an offensive stride, plus what's going on in the Central, I think this is about as hopeful as you've been for them probably in a few weeks.
Shannon, I want to ask you about a specific at-bat. Randy had one of the more entertaining at-bats I've seen in a while. Steps out the box 3 times, and then on the 4th pitch, he hits a bomb. Have you seen anything like that, and how is that perceived in the baseball world? Because you know me, I'm a football guy, and baseball has different, like, unspoken rules when it comes to how you conduct yourself. Walk me through that.
I've seen guys step out before, but not 3 times in a row. And to make that decision that you're not going to swing, which is what he is doing right there, is really something. But there are situations when you step up to the plate where you're not going to swing until they throw a strike. Most folks will stay in the box and not just swing. But he, from what I understand, and I've been trying, because we've seen him step out a few times, and I've asked around, and the answer was honestly no. Nobody knew why he did it. And I did not have the opportunity to ask him. I'm not sure if he was going to tell us why. He might have to tell us now, because that is a thing. But I did do some reading on it, and the folks in Tampa say that he does that to keep himself from swinging, that it's just that little bit of extra if he is not going to swing. And perhaps he thinks that if he sees the ball, he might just go ahead and swing, so he steps out. Now, that said, and to your final point in the question that you had there might be a little bit of gamesmanship there. That can probably throw a starting pitcher off a little bit. It'll make him stop and think for a second. If it's 1, if it's 3, he can't be thinking at that point. He has to throw a good strike. But it was quite a sequence. Never seen 3 in a row, and never seen one, obviously, with an ending like that.
Hey, Shannon, I wanted to, now that we have a couple weeks under our belts of a new regime here, check back in with a question that I've asked before, which is, does anything at all feel different, seem different under Dan Wilson? Is Dan or Edgar connecting with players in a different way? Just what's the general vibe in the clubhouse in terms of what might be working with this group?
Well, the vibe is good, and it always has been. And then if you are winning and if you're giving yourself a chance, the vibe's going to be better, obviously, than when you're on a losing streak. I think, and I had the last 2 games off this weekend, so I can't speak to what it was and how it has been building with what they're doing. But, mathematically, a week ago, you look at where they're at, and they just don't have a chance a week ago with where they were at. There was, a single-digit chance that you're going to get into the postseason. And it's been a painful realization in doing this that those numbers are almost always right. But you were in a spot where you didn't really want to start doing end-of-the-year things. That's not what they want to hear. That's not what they want to talk about. And the one time that I really started veering towards that was in a conversation with Luke Raley. And I kind of accidentally, I didn't stop myself, but, I was truly curious to what he was going to do going forward. He said, we're not done yet. We're not out of this yet. I'm like, okay, sorry, my bad. I'm not saying that at all. So, that has been a focus through the struggles, a kind of a grim focus through the struggles. And I think now there's a little bit more hope in that, so that's good. As for what we're seeing on the field, I think one of the biggest differences I've seen is Dan Wilson has run a consistent lineup out. There is the platoon lineup when they have the lefty, they threw out the righty bats, but he ran the same lineup last week out 4 days in a row. And we never saw that, and quite honestly, I don't think it was allowed. I think that, particularly in the first half of the season and heading into the trade deadline, they wanted players playing. They wanted to find out what they had and take the best benefit that they could with that. But I think that they are in the go time, and, Dan has been able to put out the same lineup 4 times, and I do think that can help. And he said at this time of the year, absolutely. So that's kind of been a big difference. The work that we see with Edgar, you continue to see a lot of early work. You continue to hear guys say good things. They're obviously enjoying what Julio is doing right now. So I think obviously some good feelings and a little bit of hope right now.
Shannon, you mentioned Dan has been able to put the same lineup out there consistently. Is that something that typically happens towards the end of the year with a team in the Mariners situation, or is that some type of indication that Dan is having influence on the analytics and management?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I think that, the reason why you don't see veteran players going to the bench for a long time or players at an investment has been made in early in the season is because you give them every opportunity to get into their game. And this year, it seemed to go on even longer than you would expect it to. And, sometimes you see a little bit of a splash from them, and that'll prompt keeping them in there. But it's, these lineups, the lineup a manager is given is, it's not built willy-nilly. It is we're going to do this at this position. We're going to do that at that position. And typically front offices, when they put in all the work and all the analytics to put together, the different lineups in the roster that you have, don't look too favorably when you're not playing pieces of that. And so, that's a big part of baseball right now. I think that when you do get to the end of the year, I think a strong argument can be made. You're going to put your best hitters out there. You're going to put your best combinations out there. I think adding Victor Robles and Robles coming through helps things because, you look at the outfield and it's pretty easy to know what you're going to do there. You can't sit a Rosarena. You can't sit Julio, and you sure as heck can't sit Victor Robles. So that helps stabilize it a little bit as well.
Shannon, I have a very weird question, but it's a fun one, I promise. But just kind of a way to look around the league and maybe compare Seattle to potentially another team. Jeff Passan has a column that he just posted to ESPN. He spent 24 hours with the White Sox. Basically, he went in being like, hey, it's maybe the worst team we've seen in history. What's going on? And then it was about like everything he learned there. And he actually came away feeling like maybe the players were well adjusted. And it was a really interesting read. Now, it could be for an entirely different reason. Maybe you look at a really prolific team or a great team. But if you could spend 24 hours with like all doors open, you get to see everything that goes on behind the scenes with one organization, and then be able to kind of take some of that knowledge and apply it to Seattle, what team would you most love to learn about?
See, I thought this was for my benefit. And I was going to say, well, the Mariners. I'd like to see more and no more.
Maybe that is your answer. I mean, maybe for you.
That is my answer.
Yeah.
I mean, we see absolutely everything, and we, get a lot of background information, and we can ask questions. It doesn't mean you're always going to get the answer. So there are puzzle pieces that you have to put together, and there are sometimes things that you're a little bit uncertain than that you're looking for further confirmation of. So, that one's easy for me. It absolutely would be the Mariners.
Is there a puzzle piece you're willing to share where you're like, I don't know that anyone knows this answer, but I wish I did?
I'd have to think about that. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't give you even a definitive answer, 100% on what we were just talking about with the lineup. So it's
fair.
I can tell you that I know that there have been times that has been the case. I can't tell you it's been 100%. I can't tell you when or how that changes, and I'd like to be inside and know, a little bit more about those kinds of influences, as I think anybody covering any team would.
Hey, Shannon, obviously the talk of one of the bigger subjects of the season has been just Julio's play, his swing, his health, and all that stuff. He's going to be a focal point. He's Julio Rodriguez. Are there some things that you see in his game that you've just said you have to deal with it? Like my wife has to deal with that I'm going to be grumpy if the Seahawks lose a game on Sunday. Is there just something that you see in Julio that people might not like, but you just have to deal with?
No, because I think that we have seen what Julio can be. And I think that, you might be thinking strikeouts. Well, we've seen him lower his strikeout rate dramatically. He doesn't have to be a 30% or even a 28% guy. We know that he's hit breaking pitches and off-speed pitches in the minor leagues and sometimes in the big leagues. So I don't think so. I think that the thing that you don't want to live with and you hope that he can get past it really quickly is when you do get into trouble, when something isn't working, you can fix it sooner. Because, you look at where he's at right now, you look at what we saw this weekend, and it just, it's all there. Not that we doubted it, not that we haven't seen little pieces of it. Now, to that extent, back-to-back nights with ball to the second deck, you don't see that. I'm not sure I've seen that ever. But that's how talented he is. But the fact of the matter is he has not been able to get the ball in the air on the pull side this year. His slugging percentage has been horrendous, and it has taken a big dive from where it was 2 years and even 1 year ago. And he has to figure those things out quickly because that power and that ability to do that has gone nowhere. And so, I don't want to settle for it's going to take, months for him to get to where he needs to be or glimpses. I want to see him be what we saw in 22 and what we saw in the month of August last year and what we're seeing right now. He's not going to hit home runs every night, obviously, but we know he's a great defender. We know he's a great teammate. We know that there are times when he can really step up to the moment. And we know he can hit the heck out of a baseball, and he can do smart things on the bases and at the plate too. He doesn't always have to. He doesn't have to go up there and just swing for the fences. There's a hitter there too. So the one thing that I don't want to live with is it taking so long to get to it when things get off, and that's where I hope. And I wrote this, right when he had his first glimmer after Edgar came on. Edgar is an interim hitting coach, and if he leaves this team with anything, the best thing that he could leave this team would be a more consistent Julio, or even a Julio that feels good about now going to Edgar next year if he steps back into his part-time role and is sometimes around, which he has been quite, most of the homestands he'd been around all along. It's very different when you're the guy and you're in the dugout with them and you're leading the meetings and everything else, but, maybe this exposure is enough to help continue that relationship and have that benefit. So no, I don't want to live with anything with Julio. I want Julio to be what I think we all think he can be.
Hey, no kidding. You had a really interesting column on SeattleSports.com about Brian Wu, and we obviously have been talking about him a ton, but we had a segment a couple days ago about how it felt like Brian Wu, of all Mariners, exceeded our expectations the most this year. I did not imagine that we would be seeing some of the starts that we have from him. Did he also exceed your own expectations? And just tell us what you've seen from him this season in terms of development.
I think that what's really interesting about him and development is it's basically been time and experience. And you think back to Bryce Miller and Brian Wu last year, and we compared them because, they were similar in their time in professional ball, not in their overall experience, but also they both got tired at the end of the season. They both started out hot and then had problems with lefties. And so in the offseason, you're going, okay, what are they going to work on? And with Bryce Miller, it was, I'm going to add a splitter, and I'm going to do this and this, and, all these things that he's going to change. And we could not get the answer out of what they wanted Brian Wu to do. And when we finally got to spring training, the answer was nothing. Leave him alone. I mean, his talent is what he has done basically on his own in the shortest amount of time. He pitched, I think, 200 innings, right around 220 innings total in his life from high school on before he made his big league debut. But what he figured out, and it was without the help of labs, and it was without the help of, the big college program or even much time in the minor leagues, was he figured out how his body worked and how to most efficiently get and smoothly get the ball out of his hand and get the most out of the ball coming out of his hand. And he's got that down. And so for him, they didn't want him messing around with other pitches. It was all right there. It's something that Trent Blank, who basically is the one who is like just, absolutely screaming from the rooftop, sign this guy, sign him, draft him, sign him. I don't care what his college record was, what his college ERA. This is special stuff. And he's been able to maintain that. And so my expectation for him was, is this real? Because, the second year in, okay, people have seen him now. it hasn't gotten any better. In fact, he's gotten better. And you're seeing even more, just futility against him. So I think that is pretty much the fact that it wasn't the case of people seeing him. It was, this is who he is. And the fact that he is strong right now. Of course, he hasn't pitched a whole season because of the injuries. But, man, I mean, he's pushing into the 7th inning in almost every game right now, which is ridiculous in this day and age. So the fact that he was able to maintain and grow from where he was last year, I think that's the most eye-opening thing with him.
Shannon, I'm sure a guy, a legend like Edgar Martinez is completely confident in himself and how he teaches things. I'm just curious if there's been like an adjustment period for him, or did he come in and kind of command the room and attention and show his full personality, or have you seen kind of a progression in the way he's doing things?
He's very much been Edgar. And one of the things that he does is he has been a big believer in positivity for a long time in how he teaches and how he coaches and how he looks at the game. So I think a lot of the things that he has done is it's been put a hand on a shoulder as you're doing what you're doing, and you're doing great here, and focus on this, not that, and simplify. And it's really, it's kind of a gift that he's been able to do what he does, because so many who have done what he does at his level, he can't tell people to do it like he did. He's a Hall of Famer. He can't expect that from them. But he is able to, and I've heard this from his teammates when he was playing, he had a gift of putting himself in the shoes and through, seeing through the eyes of the other hitters when they asked him for help. And it sounds like that's what they're getting. He's simplified very much. He's given them the freedom that if they don't want to get too far into the weeds on the numbers, or too far into the weeds of, the ball's got to be here for me to do this, that, or the other. He's given them the permission to let go of that. At the same time, they're not taking anything away from anybody who relies on those numbers, which a lot of modern players do right now. So I think his versatility is, kind of key, and that he's been able to adapt. And then in game, I think he's giving great advice too. When, you just look down at the rail and you see hitters stop by and have a quick word with him, particularly if there's a pitching change or anything like that. I think he's instilling confidence in a lot of guys. So I don't know. I think it's basically him, and his style is kind of what it's been all along, all the way back to his playing days. He's just now, in a position where he can share it with so many more people.
Very cool news happening off the field with J.P. Crawford and his nomination for the Roberto Clemente Award. We initially asked you about this when the news broke, just kind of, a general reaction. But you had a chance to talk to J.P., to have a column for Seattle Sports. Tell us a bit more about what's going on, what J.P.'s involved with, and what you learned.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, the Clemente Award I think many people will tell you, it's the most prestigious award in all of baseball. It's about what you do off the field and the person that you are and how you contribute to those around you. And J.P. Crawford, I think, is every team gets a nominee, and I think he is very worthy of this nomination. But he's done things, with Seattle, and Seattle has the Mariners Cares projects, the Hometown 9, which is a mentorship program and a scholarship program, and taking kids through 5 years and sticking with them and teaching and making the baseball more accessible, but also growing these kind of scholarship kids that they have. And also he's working with a foster group as well, but something that he has done for a long time. And if you see the Instagrams, and sometimes you'll see a picture and somebody else will send it out too, but he's worked with a group, and he's been with this group since the beginning. It's called Baseball Generations down in the LA area. And it is basically taking youth down there and giving them an opportunity to learn and then to be showcased. And they are actually turning out first rounders right now. And they also do things in the community. It's for every skill level. They have scholarship programs, and he spends a lot of time with them in the off season. And you see him working in the skill clinics with them, and you also see him talking with the kids. And they actually had a full Major League showcase after the game on Sunday at T-Mobile Park. And I've always wanted to talk to him a little bit about, because I've seen the pictures and I've heard the stories, but he hadn't really talked about it. But it was him and a couple of other big leaguers from the area just sitting around talking and wanting to give back. What can we do? And J.P. Crawford when he was a kid, went to the Urban Youth Academy in Compton, and he did because that's where most of his friends were. And the Urban Youth Academy has grown, and it's absolutely tremendous and huge. Now, all sorts of players are coming out of there, and they have all sorts of facilities. But so he had kind of an upbringing in an academy type situation, and had big leaguers in front of him, and he saw the impact that had, and something that he wanted to be able to provide too. And the first showcase that Baseball Generations did was on a small high school field. And a couple of years later, they're doing a showcase at USC, and a year after that, they're doing one at the Urban Youth Academy with every seat filled with scouts. And now they're doing some Major League Baseball ballparks too. Again, all the scouts come out, and there are legitimate prospects that they are growing right now. So it's a thing to help his community back home. It's a thing to help the youth in his community, and also, he wants kids to be able to realize the dream that he realized, and that was becoming a major leaguer. And it's very hard to do it on your own. It's very hard to do it without, elite training and without funds, and they're helping with all of that.
She is Mariners insider Shannon Drayer. You can read more from Shannon at seattlesports.com. Thanks so much, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
You got it, guys.
You are listening to The Dugout. Still to come, we're going to have Mariners reliever Colin Snyder join us at 1:45. Before then, bringing on Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims to take a look at this team ahead of a series against the Yanks. That's coming up next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
To be 2-0, awesome.
You're putting yourself in a pretty darn promising position. By the end of next weekend, Brock, either the Rams are going to be 0-3 or the Niners are going to be 1-2.
Right.
One of those two things is going to be true, and you've got a legitimate shot to go to 3-0. You get an opportunity to take on a Miami team that is missing its quarterback before, a really difficult game with Detroit after that. So, you're putting yourself in a pretty darn good position to start this year.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Want to listen to Seattle Sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle Sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. I'm a fifth-generation Pacific Northwesterner, graduated from UW and Seattle U School of Law. At Warrior Injury Law, we have years of experience in the trenches, fighting insurance companies for the people of Washington, my people. If you've been injured, you need a lawyer that is tough, confident, and battle-tested. Call us at 253-WARRIOR for your free case review. Warrior Injury Law, battle-tested.
Eddie's!
There's still time to get your roof done this summer with Riverside Roofing's quick quote at riversideroofingllc.com. Enter the details of your project, and you're only 60 seconds away from starting on a new roof. At Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Oh no, your furnace died. Your hot water heater's leaking. Your drains are clogged. Your AC's blowing hot air. Inconveniences? No, they're emergencies. Don't fear. Call Deere Services. Visit deerservices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours, or give you $100 credit. And get this, you will never pay a service fee. Bookmark DEARservices.net, because if you're a homeowner, it'll happen to you someday. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
When you switch and save with Progressive, you could use that money towards golf lessons to become a scratch golfer. Progressive cannot guarantee that you will ever become a scratch golfer. Scratch golfers are really, really good. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds on average, and sure, you could put that money towards lessons, but if you can't hit the broadside of a barn and think you're going to become a scratch golfer, you're delusional. Sorry, just telling it like it is. Savings? Maybe. Scratch golfer? Don't hold your breath. Switch and see if you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates. Not available in all states. It's universally accepted that golf is hard. Progressive cannot guarantee improved performance on the course.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
I grew up in a very angry time.
A night of comedy at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center.
We were afraid of your dad.
Friday, October 4th. Hold on tight. It's Bill Burr.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad.
Tickets at emeraldqueen.com.
When I was a kid, I was like, Dad, run! Run!
Don't miss Bill Burr, October 4th at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Does your snoring keep others awake at night? Choking or gasping can be even worse. Hi, I'm Dr. Nick Kugler with the Washington Center for Sleep. Snoring is often a sign that something is wrong. Don't ignore it. We can help fix it. We specialize in treating snoring and sleep apnea so that you can get better sleep, giving you more energy and a more fulfilling, healthy life. Visit us in Seattle, Bellevue, or at wasleep.com. That's wasleep.com. Sleep better, feel better. That's the Washington Center for Sleep way.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
You're listening to
these final 12 games. You know, I don't know about throwing out a specific number when it comes to what they're going to need to do, but we'll talk about that. Looking forward with Dave Sims. Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Dave, I'm so sorry about your Eagles last night, man. I'm so sorry.
It's one game. Come on, it's one game. They did piss me off, though.
I know they did.
See, you know, the offense was no imagination. They ran Hurts too much. They get Saquon Barkley. He gets a little groove going there, and they don't run him again. Then he drops the ball. Secondary was horrific. All in all, I was good until the last minute, and then Kirk Cousins looked like Johnny Unitas, Sid Luckman, and Tom Brady rolled into one. I was like, what? And he's coming off an Achilles injury. Get the heck out of here.
I know. It was a good game, though. I got to say, it's one of those things where, as an objective viewer, you watch and you go, oh, that was unexpected. And then I immediately thought, as we were coming in, we were like, we got to ask Dave about his Eagles. We just have to.
Yeah, I was a little hacked, but I'm over it now. It was one game. I went to an Eagles bar here in town, and it was great, and we all walked out bummed. But a lot of good people, and we had a blast.
Oh, love it. All right, well, let's look ahead to another team here, that being a New York team. Yankees going to be in town. It feels like it feels stupid to say a test for the Mariners. The Mariners are just going to need to be almost perfect, Dave, down the stretch. It feels like. I'm not going to ask for a specific number, but what are we going to need to see here?
Hey, you got 12 games left.
Yeah.
There's no beating around the bush. You got to win.
Yep.
And there was 4 back in the Division 2 and a wild card. There's still a chance again for the umpteenth time. I lived through 6.5. Up 6, what was it? Up 6.5 with 12 to play with the 64 Phillies, and they blew it. So anything can and will happen. You get a little help here and there. Was it Minnesota lost yesterday? Houston, I think, lost yesterday. And that opened up the door. Win. Brian Woo's been pitching well. Here's the thing. You got to deal with Judge and Soto, and their bullpen is on fire. And so it'll be a heck of a challenge. It really will be. Rodin, let's say he pitched yesterday, so you won't see him. You won't see Garrett Cole. But the Luis Hill kid that's pitching tonight is really has fixed some things. This is going to be a heck of a series. It's going to be a fun series and a super important series.
Yeah.
like I'm breaking the ground.
The M's have found a way to win some ball games, man, and they're a streaky team, and I'm hoping the streak continues. Is there anything specific that you've seen that have allowed this team to kind of produce?
Well, the Edgar effect. I mean, Edgar, whatever he's talking to him, I mean, why wouldn't you buy anything from Edgar? He's got as much credibility as anybody walking the planet. And if he says this is the path to success in hitting, this is what I did, this is what I know. That's what you're not going to be an idiot not listen. So, things are coming around, and it's nice to see.
Does Edgar, from what you've learned from players, have like a new approach, a unique approach, or is it just?
It's old school.
Yeah,
it's old school. Hey, see the ball, be athletic, be you, go up the middle, the other way if you have to. If you get something middle in, yank it. 2-strike approach, shorten up, spread out, put the ball in play. Okay,
so Mike Salk was talking about some of Edgar's comments. I've been curious as to what you might think about this. And he said, I hate the idea of just doing away with analytics and doing away with that information, whereas it sure seemed like Edgar wanted guys to just focus on hitting and don't overcrowd your mind with too much. Do you think that in today's game, that like guys just have too much information, or are we kind of making much ado about nothing?
No, I think that there's a factor there, and there's been a lot of great analytic data that has been compiled, and guys are using it, but you still got to use the eye test. And I've talked to a couple of coaches recently, guys in my generation are saying it's starting to come back a little bit more towards the middle, where you have a nice mix of the analytics. Analytics aren't going to hit that 98-mile-an-hour fastball in the outside corner if you're right-handed hitter. You got to be able to be athletic and smart enough to either lay off it if you think it's outside, or hit the thing and hit it the other way and not try to roll over on it. I think that it's just going to be interesting. It sounds like it's a real clash of generations, and yes, a lot of these guys have grown up through the minor leagues with all of this information, but the shoulder's going to be here and you're going to launch it. Not everybody's a launch angle guy, and particularly, and one coach told me, not one anybody on our staff, but say in the ballpark here, this is not necessarily a great hitting ballpark. It's built for pitching. Yeah, they moved the fences in a few years ago. Atmospherics control a lot this time of year, in the beginning of the year. We've been through the summer months where it's warm and the ball's going to fly out a heck of a lot easier. Right now, in this ballpark, particularly with this team, you got elite pitching. You get a guy on third base, one out, you got to get him home. You got to hit a ball the other way. You got to get a fly ball. You got to get a base hit. Little ball, and then when the big boys who are built physically to hit the ball out of the yard, let them do their work. But if you don't have a whole bunch of behemoths in there, and being huge doesn't necessarily lend to hitting home runs, but the whole point, and when you watch Justin Turner, yeah, he's got some pop, but he knows how and knows how to put the ball in play. All right, not everybody's built that for a launch angle, and I'm really, it's part of the game, and they push it like heck. But can a dude hit? Can he come up clutch? I don't care about the launch angle and exit velocity. Can you freaking hit?
Dave, do you like the approach that Dan's had, or the past few games of just rolling out the same lineup? We've seen a lot of changes. I mean, when we get the lineup, I'm just waiting and. As Stacy, blurs it out there to see who's going to be mixed up and who's going to be missing. But it's been pretty consistent. Do you like it?
Hey, man, when you're hot, why would you change? If things are going well, why would you change? You got a right-hand platoon, essentially a left-hand platoon. If something's working, you don't change. You know that. I mean, and at this stage of the season, with so much on the line, and you still have an outside chance of getting in, and for the umpteenth time, every team that comes in here, or when we don't want to face you guys in a playoff game. Don't want to do it. Yeah. And so there's nothing to overthink, particularly now with time getting short. 12 games. You got 3 here. Why do you go to Texas and Houston for 6 and come home? And the A's will be a pain in the butt those last 3 games, guaranteed. So this is a challenge, and you got to step up, and let's see what happens. If it's in you, you'll perform, and you'll win you win your share of games. But I like to see him go like 10-2, 9-3. Are you kidding? Absolutely.
I know that in a season in which we've been disappointed by a couple things, it can be easy for me at least, Dave, to focus on those things. However, there are a few players, a few moments that have really exceeded my expectations, and Brian Wu is one of them. And that's on me. I feel like I didn't know a ton about Wu, and I kind of had in my mind what my ceiling was for him, and he has blown right by that. Tell me a bit about Brian, either what you've learned about him or what you've come to see be true for other people. Maybe it was, something that you always saw.
Well, I know what I'm looking at, and I know what other guys who are down in the field and guys who swing have to swing against him, and guys that play behind him. He could tell you, hey, 96 top of the zone fastball, here it is. Boom, can't hit it because that motion of his, he's so athletic, he's so smooth, and that motion, his windup blows you to sleep, and the ball explodes on you. And when he's getting the secondary stuff over, what time's the game tomorrow? I mean, he's been that kind of competitor, and especially since he's been on a really good run at being healthy. Heck of a pitcher, and he's got a great present and an even better future in front of him.
All right, he is Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Thanks so much, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet. Take care, guys. Be good.
All right, we are going to bring on Mariners reliever Colin Snyder, and I'll see if I can get a little more of a preview for this game, but excited to talk to Colin, learn a bit more about just kind of the general vibe in this bullpen, vibe with the team. And I'll tell you this, and Bump, you know this to be true. As fans, and I'm seeing it all over the text line, you'll have people that say, what's the point? I feel so defeated. I feel so disappointed.
Playing ball?
Exactly.
When you got a chance?
Exactly.
Come on,
so
man.
that's the vibe I anticipate we're going to get from Colin, because these guys are still so in this. They are not looking at this series, writing it off. They are looking at it full steam ahead as they prepare to face the Yankees. That interview coming your way next.
This is Seattle Sports.
DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks.
I've never been around a quarterback who had as big of a chip on his shoulder than Juno.
Set has time. Now he's going to get hit. He's going to go down. Well, Leonard Williams just drove his man back, just what the doctor ordered.
This is a great example of this game. Like, hey, when the offense needs to pick the defense up, they did it. When defense could help the offense by getting a critical stop, we got the stop.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
There's an old saying that a house is not a home, but the Mariners house, T-Mobile Park, is home to an awful lot. Home to plays you can't believe.
Right shot, diving catch. Holy smokes, what a play by Crawford.
Home to 6-foot salmon that don't swim, they sprint. And even home to hot dogs that fall from heaven. Hallelujah.
Everybody likes free food just falling from the sky.
Oh, yeah. And it's also home to 47,000 screaming faithful night after night.
We have a sellout crowd. I mean, the folks are up there in the rafters.
T-Mobile Park is our house. Mariners fans make it our home. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Be here for the final stretch of the regular season at T-Mobile Park. The homestand continues with a 3-game showdown against the New York Yankees. Tonight and tomorrow at 6:40 and Thursday afternoon at 1:10. Don't miss your chance to see Aaron Judge and the Bronx Bombers take on Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. Lock in your seats today at Mariners.com.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. Hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors.
Uh-oh. Looks like your plumbing just threw a Hail Mary into the wrong end zone. But don't worry, folks. Flowhawks Plumbing and Septic is here to intercept the mess. From busted pipes to clogged drains, we've got the plays that'll turn your plumbing fumble into a winning touchdown. Why risk a penalty? Call Flowhawks, the hometown heroes who will blitz that plumbing problem before it costs you the game. Because when your pipes are on the line, we bring our A game. Talk to the Hawk, 1-800-FLOWHAWK. That's 1-800-FLOHAWK.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
To me, the LJ way is to provide an experience that people really enjoy being a part of. And they enjoy being a part of it because they're getting great service. They're talking with somebody that actually they feel cares about them. They care about what their impression is going to be walking away. It's also understanding you're now part of our family, and thank you for doing the business with us. And this is how we're going to show our appreciation through customer service. We're going to show our appreciation with taking care of you if you ever have an issue. Majority of the people that are coming to see us are within our community. These are people who are providing maybe services that we also use in our community. So the LJ way, to me, somebody can come into a retail setting and not feel like they got to have their guard up. And that's been a long-standing thing in the car business that, we've tried to shake.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Joining us now on The Dugout, it's Mariners reliever Colin Snyder on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Colin, how's it going?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic. Actually, it's funny. We started our conversation with our previous guest by asking him about his Eagles. It was Dave Sims, who's from Philly, a huge Eagles fan. So I was kind of curious. We were thinking about football. Do you guys have a team fantasy football league?
Yeah, we do have a fantasy football league.
Nice. Okay, who's in it? How big is the league?
It's 12 players. I'm actually a co-commissioner.
Congratulations.
Both. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But yeah, we got a good group. We got, trying to think off the top of my head, JP's in it, Rayleigh, Garver, Sauce is in it. Drawing a blank on the rest. But yeah, it's a 12-team league. It's a lot of fun. Very competitive.
Do you, you're from Tennessee, so are you a Titans guy?
I am a diehard Titans fan, yeah.
Okay. What did you think of Coach Callahan is ripping your boy Levis, man?
I think it's good for him, actually. I'm kind of for it. I like the new coach coming in, setting the tone, and, kind of saying, like, we're not going to stand for this. We got to be better. So I'm actually for it.
I like it.
Are you so Bump was nodding along because I get all like, oh, don't be mean. But I'm assuming that as a player, and Bump's a former football player, that you guys kind of like old school coaching once in a while, like someone who can be really, really honest. Is that how you feel about coaching in general? Just like, nah, I can take it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it, like as an athlete, you want that. You want someone that's going to push you to be better. There's a time and place for some pushing and then also some consoling or more constructive talks, which I'm sure that's going on too behind closed doors. But yeah, that's a tough love is a good way, I think.
Who gave you the tough love growing up? Is that the way you were coached, the way you were taught?
Yeah, it was. I'm not going to say my dad coached volleyball growing up. So he never coached me playing the sport, but I watched him coach volleyball for many years, my whole life. And, he was tough on those girls, but he was also at the same time, like, cheering them on and, like, their biggest fans whenever they would have success. So I do think that is a good way to go about it.
Okay, I got to throw this question for you as a Titans fan. So we have a diehard Titans fan who works with us. His name is Mike, and he's a producer with another show. And he sees the Titans as, like, he loves this team, watches every game, but he's like convinced that they just are cursed. Like he's like, oh my God, we get our hearts broken all the time. Is that your experience?
In the past couple of years, yes. We had that little stretch of making the playoffs with Vrabel, and I was like, okay, maybe this is what it's like to be like a Patriots fan or something like
right?
that.
I get it.
but it turned around, not too fast, but I'm like Mike. When I'm home in the off season, I set aside every Sunday afternoon to watch the Titans game, and it may or may not affect my mood a little too much. But
where's your off season spot? Are you back home or you stay out this way?
I'm back home just outside of Nashville, actually.
Nashville's on my bucket list, right? I've never been there. Nashville and Austin are two places I want to go to. Is the music scene as popping as they make it out to be?
It is, yeah. So if you go Broadway, pretty much any night of the week or any time of day, there's someone playing in one of the restaurants or bars doing live music, and you're like, okay, this person's actually really good. Who are they? And you look them up, and whether it's YouTube or something like that, they're kind of on the rise.
I gotta get back to the fantasy football thing because I can't get over it. I know I'm so stuck on this. So just to clarify, Colin, is this the first year for the league, or are most of these guys you guys were in it last year together too?
Most of the guys were in it last year.
Obviously,
I wasn't in this league, being with a different team, and being commissioners new. I think commissioner is kind of like a one and done type thing because you tend to wear some stray bullets after tough weeks.
It's a tough job, you know what I mean? You're protecting the shield.
A little bit of a punching bag, yeah. But yeah, a lot of these guys, I think Rojas, I believe, won it last year, and he's, of course, in it again this year. So, yeah, it's been fun.
She got me on the fantasy tip right now. So
I know. Well, you know why? Because I'm starting off weak this year.
With your fantasy league, there in our league, if you do not, well, you guys don't have this issue. You guys got money. I'm in a group where some dudes ain't got money, and if they don't pay by week 3, like you lock teams.
You kick them out of the league.
You're lock their team.
You lock them out.
I don't lock. I'm not commissioner. But have you ever been put in a situation where you've had to discipline one of your boys in the league?
I was very close because we tried to do the buy-ins before we left for one of the road trips before the draft, and it came down to the wire for a few people. I won't name names, but it came down to the wire. And then we had to make an exception though for Matt Brash. He had to get his Canadian currency switched over to the U.S. So we gave him a little bit of leeway.
Colin, I know you can't say it, but I'm just running through my mind trying to think of like, okay, who came down to the wire with like, oh no, I'll Venmo you tomorrow. Just Colin had to lay down the law.
We did cash only. So I'll let you use your imagination there.
Cash only.
All right. So let's get to the vibes of the clubhouse here. We only got a few more minutes with you, and then we'll let you go. We appreciate you humoring us, though. Obviously, you guys have a huge 2 weeks coming up here, and including a huge series against the Yankees right here at home. Take us inside the clubhouse. How do you guys manage nerves and manage the stress of knowing that there's just so much pressure right now?
Yeah, we're not really viewing it as pressure. This team came down to the last game of the year last year, if I believe, and the year before that it came down to the last couple games. So a lot of the guys in this clubhouse are used to the situation where every game at the end of the year matters. We're just doing our best to keep loose, but also keep very focused at the same time and just keep the energy very high.
You got the Yankees, right? And we all know that they're a tough squad, man. But the way you guys have been playing, it's like all you need is this a fighter's chance, man. Is that your mentality going into this one?
Yeah, it is for sure. The pitching staff, I can speak for the bullpen specifically, but we really focus on just pitching to the name on the front of the jersey instead of the back. And, we have our plans against certain hitters. And to us, it doesn't really matter, who you are, where we're at, where the standings are, stuff like that. We're just out there, and our job is to give the team a chance to win.
Are you a scoreboard watcher? I know it's kind of unique to each player. Like some players don't mind doing it, and others kind of limit it.
Yeah, I'm actually not. My view on it is nothing else matters except for what we do. So, if we win and take care of our job, the rest is out of our control. So shouldn't really be something that me or anyone else is really concerned about.
See, Colin, that's the kind of focus and dedication that makes you a good commissioner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's professionalism is what that is.
Yeah, you're right.
Just focusing on the end of the season, man. Baseball, it's a long grind, man. Yeah, like Stacey said, I played football. You got 16 weeks when I was playing. Now it's 17, and it happens so fast. When you look back on the year that you guys have had so far this year, when you get to this point, does it seem like it took forever to get here, or does it just creep up on you?
It honestly kind of goes back and forth on that feeling. It feels like, just a minute ago it was the All-Star break. So it has kind of snuck up and gone by pretty quick on the second half. And kind of like you were saying, though, there's so many games. It is kind of crazy how, it's 162, and every year it comes down to the final, 10, 15 that it ends up being. It's a long ride, but it kind of keeps you stuck in there mentally the whole time.
All right, last question here for me, Colin. In between all of these games and in between these, kind of stressful moments in the final 2 weeks, you are going to have downtime. So what do you do in your downtime? Are you just watching football, hanging out with the family? What's that look like?
Yeah, it's actually great timing for football season because on those off days or mornings, whatever, it does give you a good distraction so you're not kind of on edge or overthinking stuff baseball related during the day. So, but in these downtimes, I love watching football, hanging out with the family, just kind of honestly getting out and enjoying the weather in Seattle because this cool fall weather is my favorite by far.
Oh, same. 10 out of 10. Fall's the best season.
Yeah.
Football starts.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a huge fan of pumpkin spice lattes.
I actually am, and I kind of
Yes! Colin,
get some
thank
heat
you so
for it
much.
in the bullpen, but I'm a sucker for the pumpkins.
Colin, you know who you are, and that is the
That's
co-commissioner
right.
of the Fantasy League and a lover of pumpkin spice and the Tennessee Titans. He is Colin Snyder, kind enough to join us for the Dugout. Colin, you've been a blast. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Colin.
Of course. Thank you all for having me.
What is bump something in our final 2 minutes here? Colin was not afraid to stand on business and to say, I do love pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah.
I love my Tennessee Titans, and I love pumpkin spice lattes, and I am who I am.
Yeah.
What's something you will not apologize for loving?
My buddy made fun of me. I linked up with him, and I ordered a, espresso martini. He's like, for real? I'm like,
oh, no,
yes.
I shouldn't have laughed so loudly.
I'm like,
It's
yes.
just so classy.
Espresso martini. You get your
I said what
buzz,
I
you get your
said.
energy. And
Yeah.
it comes in this little glass. It was the glass.
Look.
It goes, you really going to drink it out of that? I go,
Yes.
yeah. Go, bro, I'm 38, dog.
Bro,
I've been married 15 years.
let me tell you what. Class up a vodka Red Bull. It's an espresso martini. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Colin would be right there with you. Just like, look, you get to an age where you just like what you like. You won't apologize
It
for
is
it.
what it is.
All right. Thank you to Colin and Dave Sims and Shannon Dreher for joining us for the Dugout. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
No matter how you feel about Geno, you think he's a journeyman, you think he's great, whatever you think.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
You can't look at that game objectively and not say he put the team on his back. He was under constant pressure. He had 5 drops from his receivers, and he still went 33 of 44, 327 yards and a touchdown. He was spectacular.
I wouldn't argue with you. I thought Geno was pretty much the game ball winner.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. we can help.
Let's talk about your hair. Well, maybe after we talk about my hair. I've got great hair, as you know, and it's because of Advanced Hair. Yep, Advanced Hair Restoration. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results that I can attest to. Guys, it's not magic, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it most, and bam, it grows. It's actual science. Advanced Hair has top-rated physicians, modern technology,